if you know this, but some people call you a fascist.
Yeah, they do.
Oh
So I
my
figure it's all right
God.
to call them a communist. Yeah, they call me a lot worse than I call them.
A lot of people listening to this, myself included, that doesn't think that Kamala is a communist.
I believe you have to fight fire with fire.
Politics is a dirty game.
It is a dirty game. It's certainly true.
How do you win at that game?
They suffer from massive Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, and I don't know if it's curable from their standpoint.
I think we'd probably have a better world if everybody in Congress took some mushrooms, perhaps.
First of all, medical.
Why did my fucking stream information change when I changed the title from Streamlabs? Why did everything change? Why did everything about this stream change? Did the fucking... What? Why did it start a new stream? Why the fuck? Wow, okay, thanks, fucking Streamable. Okay, let's do that. Okay. Where it makes you happy. The fuck? What? Oh my God, that's horrible. Why would it... Why would... Jesus Christ. Why did it kill the stream to do that? So if you change the title, it creates a new event. What the fuck? Okay. $300 viewers who rated. Bro, I was doing so well. I was bouncing. Okay. I changed the title. What the hang on. What happened to the old stream? Okay, so the old stream is just gone. It's there. It's unlisted. Okay. If I go to this new one, I need to add the stream thumbnail because that's gone. Okay, that's not there. I need to make sure it gets playlisted. Okay. What? Save. Okay. You thought I said, okay, bye. You're so good at this. No one could have anticipated. What the fuck? So usually I change the stream title on YouTube, but I thought if Streamable gives me this option to change the title in Streamlabs, in OBS, like so, I just did it here, but then it started a new fucking stream. What? Where'd all my viewers go? Are they coming back? Where are they? Where are my viewers? Where my viewers go? Look at your thumbnail. Well, I think I changed the thumbnail. Did it not change? Did it not save the new thumbnail? Hang on. It's still fucking... Hang on. So I did change it, but it hasn't... Okay. Okay, let's do some editing. Did you pay your dues? 500 viewers who rated. Stop. 500's all right. It's climbing. It's coming back. Fuck. That is such a traumatizing occurrence. There are some things I can't... Okay, so the thumbnail, it says it's changed. I don't know. It saved the thumbnail, so that's going to change if you just refresh or some shit. That doesn't matter. No one cares about the fucking... No one cares about the thumbnail. My stream got genocided. What the fuck? There's nothing wrong with using a bit of colorful language every now and then. Toyota Corolla, thanks for the $4.99. My bad. I meant my people as an American, not your people. Autocorrect sucks. Okay. I appreciate the dono. Basin, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Live boomer moment. Okay. Just okay, the thumbnail's changed. If you refresh YouTube, the thumbnail's fine. Okay. The latency will not change. Okay, how do I sound? YouTube, the thumbnail's fine. Okay. I sound fine. Okay. At least in the headphones. Okay, people are liking the stream. 69 likes, not bad, not bad. Headless Chicken, thanks to the tier 2 sub. What else? So that's what it's like to be in chat. Okay. Hi. Look, that's me. I'm just waiting for something bad to happen. Average Barbarian, thanks for the 5 chiffs. Viewers got wiped like Brazilians off Twitter. Oh yeah, that's a wacky thing to happen, isn't it? Okay, we got good engagement. Okay, okay. There are 600 viewers still watching the old stream, trying to figure out what happened. Why did you make a new stream? I obviously didn't mean to. My fucking software did some retarded shit. Oh, God. Okay. Let's do the Lex Trump interview. Let's do that. Apparently. Okay. Ha! Grr, thanks for the €5. Do you see the new Stuart Lee? Nope, don't watch Stuart Lee, sorry. Was it good? Is he a comedian? I think he's a comedian. Okay. Fuck. Okay. We're here again. The Lex Trump interview. Okay.
I don't know if you know this, but some people call you a fascist.
Yeah, they do. So I figure it's all right to call them a communist. Yeah, they call me a lot worse than I call them.
A lot of people listening to this, myself included,
Wow.
that doesn't think that
Wait,
Kamala...
so is he admitting that he doesn't actually think these people are communists? Okay, good start. Gloria, thanks for the $4.99. Dono to my favorite small boomer streamer. Thanks.
is a communist.
I believe you have to fight fire with fire.
Politics is a dirty game.
Oh, it's so disgusting, the fact that because he always is the one to throw the first fucking thing. I don't even.
It is a dirty game. It's certainly true.
How do you win at that game?
They suffer from massive Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, and I don't know if it's curable from their standpoint.
I think we'd probably have a better world if everybody in Congress took some mushrooms, perhaps.
First of all, medical marijuana has been amazing. It's been, I've had friends and I've had others and doctors telling me that it's been absolutely amazing.
The list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
The following is a conversation with Donald Trump on this, the Lex Friedman podcast.
They're getting smaller and smaller.
They're getting smaller.
Right?
I mean, people do respect you more when you have a big camera for some reason.
No, it's cool. And about 20 guys that you pay a fortune to, right?
All right. Okay. You said that you love winning. And you have won a lot in life.
Yeah, but you lost
in
2020.
real estate,
How's it feel?
in business, in TV, in politics. So let me start with mindset, a psychology question. What drives you more, the love of winning or the hate of losing?
Maybe equally, maybe both. I don't like losing.
But
And
Trump is not a complex person. I don't know why the fuck you would ask a question like that. Trump is really stupid. Like, it takes you a while to get there because you think maybe he's onto something. He became successful, or he found his way to the presidency. No, Trump's really dumb. Like, okay, he's very shallow. He's a shell of a man. He probably hates himself. There's not really any other explanation for the behavior. Like, okay,
I do like winning. I've never thought of it as to which is more of a driving force.
Lonerbox, do you like being based or do you just not like being cringe? I don't know. It's a really good question. That's a really good question, as I'm currently applying for the job of Chief of Staff of the IDF. Okay.
You've been close with a lot of the greats in sport. You think about Tiger Woods, Muhammad Ali. You have people like Michael Jordan, who I think hate losing more than anybody. So what do you learn from those guys?
Well, they do have something different. The great champions have something very different, like the sports champions. And, you have champions in other fields, but you see it more readily in sports. You see it over a weekend or you see it during a game. And you see that certain people stand out and they keep standing out. But it's there for you. It doesn't take a lifetime to find out that somebody was a winner or a loser. And so the sports thing is very interesting, but I play golf with different people, and there's a different mindset among champions. There's really a very different mindset. There's a different thought process. Talent-wise, sometimes you can't tell the difference in talent, but at the end of a weekend, they seem to win, and it's very interesting.
What questions would you ask Trump? I would ask him what I'd ask him what H2O stands for. Like, what does the H mean? What does the O mean? What does the 2 mean? I'd ask him to tell me 3 things about Hezbollah and Lebanon, and 3 things about Syria, and 3 things about Iran and the IRGC. Like, I just ask him things like that, just basics. What are the 3 what are the 3 branches?
Like as an example, Tiger or Jack Nicklaus, he was a phenomenal winner. And he does have a different way about him. And Tiger has a different way about him. And Michael Jordan. And there's never one, you would think that there'd be one way. Arnold Palmer.
On a more serious, I'd like to ask him why he abandoned the Kurds. That would be interesting. Why would he know about Hezbollah? Because he claims to. He claims that it was because of Biden, that Biden didn't deal with Iran well enough, and that led to Iran coming out of bankruptcy and funding Hezbollah. Like, that's not true, though. Hezbollah slowed down on their buildup on the Israeli border in 2020 because of COVID, not because of funding. Like, things like that. I don't know, just ask him things like that. Fuck.
Palmer was the nicest guy you'd ever meet. And then you have some champions that aren't really.
What's the difference between arable land and pasture? Like, come on.
Nice. They're just focused on doing their job. So you have, there's not one type of person. But the one thing I would say that everybody seems to have in common is they're very driven. They're driven like beyond.
They don't seem to give up easily.
They don't give up. But they do seem to be, they have a passion that's maybe more than people that don't do as well.
You've said that politics is a dirty game in the past.
It is a dirty game. It's certainly true.
So if it is a game, how do you win at that game?
Well, you win at that game by getting the word out and by using sense. You have to have a feeling where it's going. You also have to have a feeling of what's right. You can't necessarily just go what's popular. You have to do what's good for a country if you're talking about countries. But you have to get the word out, and you have to just continuously, like, for instance, you have a great show. You have a great podcast. It's very well watched. And I'm sitting here and I do this. A lot of people see it, and I do other things, and a lot of people.
Okay, if you're talking about things that are less combative but still curious, I'd want to know, because you have to think of a few questions to make him not run out of the room, right? So one would be like, you're really proud of Operation Warp Speed. How do you feel about the fact that Republicans are like, that Republicans dropped like fucking flies because they don't trust the vaccine? There's mostly your voters who died from COVID. I'd word it in a nicer way, but
People see that. And I go traditional also. You have traditional television, which is getting a little bit older and maybe less significant. Could be less significant. I don't know. But it's changing a lot. The whole plane of platform is changing a lot. It's changed a lot in the last 2-3 years.
a lot.
But from a political standpoint, you have to find out what people are doing, what they're watching, and you have to get it. You have to get on. I just see that these platforms are starting to dominate. They're getting very big numbers. I did Spaces with Elon, and they got numbers like nobody's ever heard before. So, this is, you wouldn't do that on like radio. You wouldn't do those numbers, no matter how good a show. You wouldn't do those numbers on radio. You wouldn't do them on television.
What's the clip?
You've been
Hang on.
successful in business. You've been successful in politics. What do you think is the difference between gaining success between the two different, disparate worlds?
Yeah, and they're different, very different. I have a lot of people that are in business that are
Is it this?
successful,
I think it's this.
and they'd like to go over to politics. And then you realize
It's this, isn't it? Hang on.
Childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
I remember when Obama was president, like this was his thing. He did like comedy bits. He would do like SNL sketches and shit as well.
It just goes on and on and on. The other day I heard someone compare Trump to the neighbor who keeps running his leaf blower outside your window every minute of every day. Now, from a neighbor, that's exhausting. From a president, it's just dangerous.
The way he shifts the mood so well too, like the tone and everything, like that one word, dangerous. Like, oh. From a president, he's gonna say something more serious now. Oh no. What was the everything about this? Like the fucking little look down that he does in the face. It's like it's so.
This weird obsession with crowd sizes.
Okay, good.
as they can't speak, they choke. It's hard to make a speech in front of that. Let's say you're talking about a big audience, but I get very big audiences, and
I know how it feels, Bub. 1,000 viewers who rated. Thanks, Learnerbox. Thanks, Learnerbox old stream. Listen, nothing happened. Okay, nothing to see there.
Many people, it's virtually impossible to get up and speak for an hour and a half and have nobody leave. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's an ability. But I have many people that are very, very successful in business, would love to do what I did, and yet they can't pull the trigger. And in many cases, I don't think it would work. Almost for everybody, it's not going to work. It's a very tough thing to do. It's a big transition. And now, if you talked about people in the business and politics going into business, likewise, that wouldn't generally work out so well either. It's different talents. It's different skills. I have somebody who wants to go into politics so bad, but he's got a little problem. He's got stage fright. Now, he's a total killer. But if he gets up into a stage in front of people, he doesn't do well, to put it mildly, actually. I mean, he does badly.
So you have to be able to
What's he
make
talking about?
hard decisions like you do in business, but also be able to captivate an audience.
Look, if
He's
you're
talking
a
about JD Vance.
politician, you have to be able to speak in front of large crowds. There are a lot of people can't do that. I've
Crowd
seen
sizes.
it. They can't even think about doing it. And they don't. There are many people in business right now. I could name them, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. They've been talking about running for president for 15 years. And they're very big in business, very well known, actually. But it takes guts to run. Like for
Musk.
president, I can tell
Is it Musk? Oh God, it's fucking Musk. Oh shit.
you, it takes guts to run. It's also a very dangerous profession, if you want to know the truth, but dangerous in a different sense too. But it takes a lot of courage to run for president. It's not easy, but you have, and you know, the same people as I do, there are a lot of people that would like to run for president that are very, very successful in business,
Okay, say it again. Yeah,
but they
they're
don't
not
have the
speakers.
guts to do
Okay,
it.
yeah, okay,
And they have to
got
give
it.
up a lot.
Yeah.
One of the great things about
Wow.
people from the business world is they're often great deal makers. And you're a great deal maker. And you've talked about the war in Ukraine and that you would be able to find a deal that both Putin and Zelensky would accept. What do you think that deal looks like?
I think the deal, and I wouldn't talk about it too much because I think I can make a deal. If I win as president-elect, I'll have a deal made, guaranteed. That's a war that shouldn't have happened. It's terrible. Look, Biden is the worst president in the history of our country, and she's probably worse than him.
Yeah.
That's something that should have never happened, but it did happen, and now it's a much tougher deal to make than it would have been before it started. Millions of people.
Millions.
I think the number is going to be a lot higher when you see this all at some point iron out. I think the numbers are going to be, the death numbers are going to be a lot higher.
What, didn't he suggest something about putting Chinese flags on American planes in Russia? Hang on. There's about a no-fly zone. The United States should put Chinese flags on F-22 jets and bomb the shit out of Russia. No, he did not say this. Wait, where's the NATO's a paper tiger? Putin wouldn't have invaded if he was president. They were made on Saturday night. To laughter, the paper said, the former president said, oh, okay. In a speech to Republican donors. Where's the, hang on. There must be the speech, right? Where the fuck is the speech? What did he actually say? Oh no, it's Washington Post. There must be a video. Is this it? This looks like it. This looks like him. Okay.
With the Russia-Ukraine war stretching on, former US President
Come on.
Donald Trump apparently made
No,
a
that's
bomb
not it at
collapse
all. This
that
is
said
just
that he's
someone narrating. Okay, well, I love that. I love it when that happens.
Welcome to
This is Jimmy Fallon. Does he have a clip? Any clip? If it's a speech, it was a private event. Okay. Okay. And then we say China did it. We didn't do it. China did it. Then they start fighting with each other and we sit back and watch. No problem. Okay.
Than people think. When you take a look at the destruction and the buildings coming down all over the place in Ukraine, I think those numbers are going to be a lot higher. They lie about the numbers. They try and keep them low. They knocked down a building that's 2 blocks long. These are big buildings, and they say one person was mildly injured. No, a lot of people were killed. And there are people in those buildings, and they have no chance. Once they start coming down, there's no chance. So
Please be the actual clip. Or something thereabouts. Fuck! Oh, here it is. Okay. Sorry. I lost my shit.
Capabilities of the F-35 fighter jet.
90 F-35 aircraft. That's the most sophisticated aircraft in the world, jet fighters. Total stealth. They're hard to find, they're hard to see, therefore they're hard to beat. It's very tough to beat a plane when you can't see it.
Okay, but Trump didn't mean you literally can't see it, right? I mean, he can't think it's actually invisible, right?
He said this.
Well, that's thing two in
see.
60 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, go on. That's not enough. That's not enough context. Go on.
The F-35 stealth
else
fighter
did he
jet
say?
is undetectable by radar. So when
Yeah.
Trump says you can't see it, clearly he means on radar, right? Well, here he is. Yeah, here he was yesterday when he misidentified Lockheed Martin CEO Marilyn Houston as Marilyn Lockheed.
I may ask Marilyn Lockheed, the leading woman's business executive in this country, according to many. And we buy.
Me when my president's about to try to get me fucking killed. Do I trust this man? What am I doing here? I feel like my constitution is in trouble, and also the life of myself and my family.
Billions and billions of dollars worth of that beautiful F-35. It's stealth. You cannot see it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Better be correct, right?
But wait, let's try to give this a charitable interpretation. Trump cannot
she's
possibly
setting
be
us up.
saying you literally can't see it.
There's so much priming.
How do they do in fights with the F-35? Said, we do very well. You can't see it. You can't see it. So it's hard to fight a plane that you can't see, right?
Sure, we like that.
But that's an expensive plane that you can't see.
Well, alrighty then, you literally cannot see it. Kind of like a Star Trek cloaking device, which was actually Romulan technology that the Federation used from time to time.
Where isn't talking about it
Or
more?
maybe Trump was thinking about Wonder Woman's invisible plane fighter, almost.
In particular, the F-35 fighter jet, which is, almost like an invisible fighter. I was asking the Air Force guys, I said, how good is this plane? They said, well, sir, you can't see it. I said, yeah, but in a fight, a fight like I watch on the movies, the fight, they're fighting. How good is it? They say, well, it wins every time because the enemy cannot see it. Even if it's right next to it, it can't see it. I said, that helps.
No, he thinks they're invisible. Yeah, he thinks they have a fucking sheet, like some kind of mirroring device. Yeah, okay.
That's a good thing.
Hey, okay, yeah, fuck. Wait, if Trump, why not? You don't even need to put Chinese flags on the F-35s. Just bomb the hell out of Russia with your F-35s because they won't see them, right? Even his internal logic doesn't make sense. Like, okay.
That's a war that absolutely has to get done. And then you have Israel, and then you have a lot of other places that are talking war. The world is a rough place right now. And a lot of it's because of the fact that America has no leadership. And I believe that she'll be probably worse than Biden. I watched the interview the other night. I mean, it was just a softball interview.
So you would like
Grassroots Hegemon, thanks for the $5. I'm a conservative and I just want to remind you all I love you. Well, I'm sorry this happened to you, Grassroots Hegemon.
to see her do more interviews, challenged more.
I don't know. I can't believe the whole thing is happening. We had a man in there that should have never been in there. They kept him in a basement. They used COVID. They cheated, but they used COVID to cheat. They cheated without COVID too. But you had somebody in there, and now we have a woman that is not, she couldn't do an interview. This was a really soft interview. This is an interview where they're giving her multiple choice questions, multiple guesses. I call it multiple guess. And I don't think she did well. I think she did very poorly.
How do you think you'll do in the debate coming up? It's in a few days.
So I've done a lot of debating, only as a politician. I never debated. My first debate was the Rosie O'Donnell debate, right? The famous Rosie O'Donnell debate, the answer. But I've done well with debates. I became president. Then the second time I got millions more votes than I got the first time. So I was told if I got 63 million, which is what I got the first time, you would win. You can't not win. And I got millions of more votes than that.
Millions.
And
Go on,
lost
Lex.
by a whisker.
Lex is Lex has spoken about January 6th before. He sees that as a problem. Go on. We've got election denial. Okay.
And look what happened to the world with all of the wars and all of the problems. And look what happened with inflation, because inflation's just eating up our country, eating it up. So it's too bad. But
Gobble.
there are a lot of things that could happen. We have to get those wars settled. We have to get, I'll tell you have to get Ukraine done. That could end up in a third world war. So could the Middle East. So could the.
Mind you, this softball interview called out Walz for lying about a DUI. Yeah, they also brought up the fact that it wasn't IVF, wasn't it? It was a different kind of fertility treatment that they used for his kid, right? Yeah. I wonder if that's going to be, even those two things alone. If those two things alone, I wonder if this is going to be softer than that. If there's anything in this interview that's going to be harsher than that. Maybe. It's only warming up, 11 minutes. Grassroots Hegemon, thanks for the $5. And that fighter pilot was Anakin Skywalker. Fortunately, nothing bad will stem from his success. Okay.
The Middle East.
So maybe let's talk about what it takes to negotiate with somebody like Putin or Zelensky. Do you think Putin would be willing to give up any of the regions they already captured?
I don't know. I can tell you that all of this would have never happened, and it would have been very easy, because you don't have, like, that question wouldn't be asked. That's a tougher question. Once that starts happening, because he has taken over a lot of territory. Now, I guess they're insurgents now too, right? So, it's a little bit interesting that that's happening and that it can happen. And it's interesting that Putin has allowed that to happen. Look, that's one that should have never started. We have to get it stopped. Ukraine is being demolished. They're destroying a great culture that's largely destroyed.
What do you think works better in those kinds of negotiations? Leverage of, let's say, friendship, the carrot or the stick? Friendship, or sort of the threat of using the economic and military power?
So it depends on who the person is. Everyone's different. Negotiation's interesting because it depends on who the person is. And then you have to guess or know through certain knowledge which is, more important, the carrot or the stick. And with some people it's the stick, and with some people it's the carrot. I think the stick probably is generally more successful in that, we're talking about war. But the kind of destruction that we're witnessing now, nobody's ever seen. I mean, it's a terrible thing, and we're witnessing it all over. We're witnessing it in all parts of the world, and a lot of things are going to get started. Look what's going on with China. Look at Japan. They're starting to rearm now. They're starting to rearm because China's getting, taking over certain islands, and there's a lot of danger in the war right now in the world. There's a great possibility of World War III. And we better get this thing done fast, because 5 months with people like her and him, he's checked out. He just goes to the beach and thinks he looks good in a bathing suit, which he doesn't. He's sort of checked out. Hey, look, you can't blame him. That was a coup. They took it over. They took over.
That's a coup.
The presidential.
It's all the talk about. I just want to say, yeah, he's saying it's a problem that Japan's having to arm up because of China, but whatever. You know what? Like, the fact is, I know that a Republican Trump supporter would never understand this, but like, foreign policy and events in the world can happen regardless of who's president. Like, that's a thing, right? Like, America has a lot of power over foreign policy, but they don't decide the military decisions of other countries. Like, they're not necessarily the final fucking frontier of why, like, Putin making a decision to invade Ukraine, or Hezbollah and Hamas taking the decision to attack Israel or whatever. But you know what? Like, Trump had it fairly easy, I guess, in terms of foreign policy when he was there, because there weren't, like, there wasn't the full-on Russian invasion of Ukraine. There was still an invasion. There were still Russian soldiers in Ukraine, right? That was still happening under Trump. But anyway, there was still a lot of fighting between Israel and Palestine, but obviously it wasn't October 7th. I really don't like the idea of Trump coming in the way things are now. Because Trump's foreign policy decisions are really erratic and stupid. Like abandoning the Kurds was immoral and stupid. Pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal was kind of stupid. Saluting Kim Jong-un's fucking military was kind of dumb. Giving him this massive fucking reward in exchange for what? Nothing, basically. Excluding the Afghan government from the negotiations at Doha for the pullout of Afghanistan. Like, I don't really know. Trump actually did quite a bit of damage with not that much. No response to the fucking Iranian attack on, was it Saudi Arabia? Like, fuck. I don't know. I feel like putting him in this kind of situation, like with this much volatility, that's really scary. I just don't like to think about the kind of things Trump would like to do, or would the kind of lengths he would go to get a deal in Ukraine, for example, or to even end the war in Gaza.
You're probably
so he could. Whoa, Dave Rubin. Why did that autoplay?
You're probably along with me on that the machine has lied about so many things, and conservatives
don't care. Fucking loser. All right.
Deal. The whole presidential thing was taken over in a coup. He had 14 million votes. She had no votes, not one. And nobody thought it was going to be her. Nobody wanted it to be her. She was a joke until 6 weeks ago when they said we're going to have to, politically, they felt they had to pick her.
Abraham Accords. The fact is that, first of all, the Abraham Accords are just basically a realization, okay? That everyone knew this already. Everyone knew that countries like Saudi or Morocco or whatever were not going to go to war with Israel. Everyone knew that they were basically on the road to normalization anyway. And the thing that the Abraham Accords basically unearthed was like this truth that everyone was already aware of, but just didn't formalize it, is that these other Arab countries, like the Gulf states especially, never gave a fuck about the Palestinian question. Like, that's it. Like, they were willing, like, it's funny that you think about like Arafat saying, I don't want to give up the Temple Mount because I might get shot, right? Or I don't even want to, even if you give me the Temple Mount, but you give me on the condition that I have to recognize that there was a Jewish temple underneath it, I might get shot for that as well. You know, the Muslim world cares a lot about the Temple Mount. Okay, I can't do it. My hands are tied. It's funny that Arafat said all that, but then what was the Arab response? Or how did it affect the Abraham Accords for Trump to move the embassies to Jerusalem? What the fuck happened? Like, what happened? I feel like the Arab response to that was fairly sanguine. Like, they didn't really do that much. Yeah. So I feel like people already knew this. It's just, again, a lot of these foreign policy decisions, it doesn't really matter who's in power at the time. Sometimes it matters, but not always. And I think the extent to which it matters is often exaggerated. Yeah.
And
didn't move in the embassy to Jerusalem spark the Great March of Return riots? I think they were definitely part of it, yeah. It also actually led to a lot of, that's partly what emboldened Ben-Gvir to take his fucking droogs up to the Temple Mount to start fucking rioting, to start vandalizing Al-Aqsa, right? Like that was, and causing all those fights. Yeah, that was partly emboldened by by Trump moving the embassy, yeah. So,
they thought there'd be a problem.
And, you know, Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. It's called Al-Aqsa Flood. Just saying. Just asking questions.
I don't know if that's right or not. I actually don't think it's right, but, you know, they thought it was right. And now immediately the press comes to their aid.
If we can go back to China on negotiation.
Oh, sorry. One more thing about that. God, I'm so happy I did this. Even doing this for 2 days, so much more valuable. Like reading like a shit ton of articles first thing in the morning before I start streaming. There was one article I read about, did you see this, that the IDF had captured documents from Gaza that were verified by the New York Times about their tunnel schemes about, I think it was like a bunch of documents, some of which were signed off on by Sinwar himself, allocating funding and giving the green light for tunnel building projects around Gaza. That this was a bunch of documents from 2019 that basically shows Hamas building up their tunnel network and adding things that they hadn't used in previous wars, like blast doors in the tunnel system that can withstand like grenades and shit like that, or explosives, and also like mechanisms inside the tunnel so that they can collapse and cave in at certain points to stop soldiers from advancing. So if you're like on the retreat, you can just make sure that your part of this tunnel blows up at this point so that the soldiers can't advance. So you've still got your tunnel, the parts that you're using, but the soldiers can't get any further. Like all these things that, like the basically improvement of their tunnel system and the extensiveness of it as well. This was all found in these documents with Sinwar's approval. That even in 2019, it was quite clear that Hamas were building up their tunnel system to prepare for an invasion. Like they were anticipating an invasion, and they were fortifying themselves to a greater extent than they had in previous wars, because they were, even then, they had something in mind that might anticipate an idea of ground invasion. Even in 2019, when Trump was still president. So the fact that that kind of level of preparation and that level of foresight exists even 4 years before October 7th, that it shows you again that just because an attack happens on October 2023, that doesn't tell you exactly when they decided to attack or when they were considering attacking. I learned a lot from reading that article. I learned that it costs about $300,000 to dig half a mile of tunnel. Half a mile. So that's what, $6 million for 10 miles? 60 million for 100? It's not even that expensive. I also had a thought. When people speak about the unemployment rate in Gaza before October 7th, did the unemployment rate include people who were digging tunnels? How many people would it have taken? Because I think the estimates, I don't think it would have accounted for anywhere near like whatever the 50% unemployment, but they were investing quite a lot in these projects. And that's not even to mention fortifying the tunnels. They probably use slave force. That's not true either. I know that Al-Qassam fighters dig tunnels as well, because in their obituaries for Al-Qassam fighters, what they're doing during ceasefire time, for example, is they will talk about their missions, and a lot of the missions, some people are assigned to digging tunnels. Yeah. If not, maybe they're overseeing. I don't know. So actually, one of the deaths of the Al-Qassam brigades for one of their fighters was actually someone who died because the tunnel they were digging caved in. That's actually one of the obituaries on the Hamas website. Maybe go and find it one day. I also learned, so I think the estimates that they have for the length of tunnels that they have currently under Gaza is it's generally now understood to be much higher than what they expected before they went in. Some estimates are now around 250 miles of tunnel. Other estimates are actually people saying that it might be twice as much as that. So fuck those. I know like some of the tunnels are 70 meters deep, like a 70-story, like a 20-story building deep. When people like Finkelstein scoff at that idea because Gaza is only so many square miles. Was it like 140 square miles? Yeah. Finkelstein scoffs at the idea of there being 250 miles of tunnel under Gaza because it's only 141 square miles. I'm like, that's so stupid. If you don't know how like square miles work, like the Paris Metro is like 130 miles of rail in an area that's only 40 square miles. And those are for trains, not tunnels, not like single file tunnels for dudes with Kalashnikovs and laptops. But long story short, it seemed like Hamas were anticipating ground forces and building up their tunnel network to absorb a ground attack, even as early as 2019. So, and Sinwar was involved in that process. So, okay, just saying. And Trump was president at that time. And it just happened to, 2019 just happens to be the year when Trump was like, after Trump had moved the embassy to Jerusalem. So, okay.
How do we avoid
But
war?
that would also it would also be foolish to say that Trump caused October 7th, because these groups have their own agency. They have their own autonomy. They make their own decisions, right? Some of it's maybe influenced a little bit by American foreign policy, but they also have their own internal logic that isn't dictated by what the president's saying. Okay. Fuck.
War with China in the 21st century.
Well, there are ways now. Here's the problem. If I tell you how, and I'd love to do it, but if I give you a plan, like I have a very exacting plan how to stop Ukraine and Russia.
Okay.
And I have a certain idea, maybe not a plan, but an idea for China, because we're in a lot of trouble. They'll be in a lot of trouble too, but we're in a lot of trouble.
If you happen to be an F-35 pilot in America, I would seriously reconsider. I would consider deserting if Trump becomes president. I'm just saying, okay? Like, I would really reconsider your role in the military, because Trump is going to overestimate the actual shit out of. He will fly you right over the most sophisticated anti-aircraft technology in the fucking world. He will throw you straight into a dogfight on your own because he thinks you can just kind of snoop around like a fucking ghost, sniping all of them. Shit. I'd be really careful, okay? F-35 pilots, you watch the fuck out, okay? Because this guy...
Trouble. But I can't give you those plans, because if I give you those plans, I'm not going to be able to use them. They'll be very unsuccessful. Part of it's surprise, right?
Right.
But they won't be able to help us much.
So you have a plan of what to say to Putin.
Yeah, I know.
When you take
exactly.
office.
No, I had a very good relationship with him, and I had a good relationship with Zelensky too, but I had a very good relationship with Putin.
Tough topic, but important. You said lost by a whisker.
Uh-oh.
I'm an independent. I have a lot of friends who are independent, many of whom like your policies, like the fact that you're a deal maker, like the fact that you can end wars, but they are troubled by what happened in the 2020 election and statements about widespread fraud and this kind of stuff, fake electoral scheme. What can you say to those independent voters to help them decide?
Yes, he did threaten Zelensky, yes, because he wanted to get dirt on fucking Hunter Biden or whatever. Yeah. He was impeached. He was impeached for it. Okay.
Who to vote
Right. I think the fraud was on the other side. I think the election was a fraud. And many people felt it was that, and they wanted answers. And when you can't challenge an election, you have to be able to challenge it. Otherwise, it's going to get worse, not better. And there are lots of ways to solve this problem. Go to paper ballots, do it the easy way. I mean, the paper ballots, and you have voter ID, and you have same-day voting, and you have proof of citizenship, which is very important, because we have people voting that are not citizens. They just came in, and they're loading up.
Still lying. What the fuck?
The payrolls. They're loading up everything. They're putting students in schools. They don't speak a word of English. And they're taking the seats of people that are citizens of our country. So
he challenged it dozens of times and lost. Not only that, he paid millions of dollars for some of these recounts as well. He's still lying. Come on, Lex. Come on. Everyone knows this is not true. Everyone knows. If you look at the evidence that they use, it is so miserable. Like, have we watched like one of the examples? We have, haven't we? We watched the Fulton County video. We've watched the 3-minute video versus the context. And the fact that Giuliani literally lost his fucking license to practice law over it because they said that there's no way anyone of sound mind could have watched that full footage and believed that the 3-minute summary was like reasonable. We watched that, didn't we? Did we watch the his suspension? Did we read the suspension? Maybe I did this off stream. In any case, this is Giuliani having his law license revoked from New York State. They mentioned the Fulton County video, which is like one of the big smoking guns that the Republicans were using, because it's a video, and you have Ruby Freeman the professional balloteer, whatever the fuck Trump called her. They say here, what was the... Oh, yeah, because Giuliani actually said that he reviewed the entire video. The video where they literally show you them putting the ballot box under the table and sealing it. And they cut that bit out to make it look like it was a mystery ballot box pulled out from under the table in the middle of the night, even though all the observers are there when they are sealing the ballot box and putting it underneath to close for the night. But he still thought the OAN summary was fair. Where is it they say that? Let's see. There's a quote here. If, as respondent claims, he reviewed the entire video, he could not have reasonably reached the conclusion that illegal votes were being counted. We disagree that the video can be viewed as evidence of illegal conduct during the vote tabulation process or that it provided a reasonable basis for respondents' conclusions. And this was one of their biggest examples, the votes under the table. It was nothing. It was so clearly, deliberately fucking fabricated. Oh, God. It pissed me off, man.
People that are citizens of our country. So, look, we have the worst border in the history of the world.
Oh, okay.
We have coming into our country right now millions and millions of people at levels that nobody's ever seen. I don't believe any country's ever seen it. And they would use sticks and stones not to make it happen, not to let it happen.
Getting anti-life speaks in volumes that may put a foot forward in reconciliation for the families of victims, Palestinian and Israeli.
Sinwar dying. I don't know. I don't actually know how important Sinwar is to the Hamas leadership. I feel like a lot of Hamas leaders are quite interchangeable. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Thanks for the $10, though. Also, thanks for the $5 from the same person, Grassroots Hegemon. Look, there's nothing wrong with mouth-hugging a couple of dozen fascies. It's cheap protein. Okay.
Happen. We don't do anything. And we have a person who was the border czar, who now said she wasn't really the border czar, but she was. She was the border czar, but she was in charge of the border. And we have her, and she's saying very strongly, "Oh, I did such a good job." She was.
I don't think there's any evidence of this, but okay. I thought we were talking about the election. Lex, bring it back. This section is quite long, isn't it? This section goes on for another 7 minutes.
Horrible. The harm she's done. But we have people coming in from other countries all over the world, not just South America, and they're coming in from prisons and jails. They're coming in from mental institutions and insane
Who killed the border
asylums.
bill? That's a good question.
And they're street criminals. Right off the street, they take them. And they're being given to our country. Drug dealers, human traffickers. We're destroying our country. This is a sin, what's been allowed to take place over the last 4 years. We're just
1.5 speed it for free. Sorry? What?
Destroying our country.
Hannibal Lecter.
And we'll see how that all works out. But it's not even believable. And now you saw in Aurora, Colorado, a group of very tough young thugs from Venezuela.
Oh, no.
Taking over big areas, including buildings. They're taking over buildings. They have their
watched this. It took 15 seconds. It took 15 seconds to see the video of the police in the building saying this building has not been taken over. What the fuck are you talking about? 2 days ago.
Venezuelan gang activity in Aurora. This week, Aurora has been in the national spotlight as videos have been circulating on social media showing gang.
Where is it? Cops.
Anything state is
collecting
evidence to show the gang is connected to crimes in the area. They shared this video last night of officers looking into claims at the edge of Lowry Apartments. APD's interim police chief Heather Morris says gang members have not taken over the complex and they're reassuring the community they are investigating criminal activity.
We are actively investigating criminal activity that's happening and listening to them to so that we can learn anything that we're missing. You know, what are we missing, and actually find out what exactly is going on.
Governor Jared Polis spoke with CNN, saying the state is ready to step in at a moment's notice in Aurora if needed, and adding that the state takes these kinds of threats very seriously. But he says Aurora officials have not raised that alarm.
So all we await is a call from Aurora saying there's any building in the control of any gang, and we are ready to help take it back. That call has not happened because Aurora Police does not currently believe, or they haven't told us, that there's any buildings in control of gangs.
Aurora's Mayor Mike Kaufman on the other.
It's just completely fabricated. Like, it's so funny, man. Why? How does he get away with this? It's the fact that this future president, potentially, is like, he gets his updates sitting on the fucking shitter looking at tweets. Elon Musk's Twitter. Bro.
Big rifles, but they're taking over buildings. We're not going to let this happen. We're not going to let them destroy our country. And you know, when those
They finally discovered how to dog whistle, though, because round one, it's like they went. Have you not noticed that the Republican Party have effectively just run through the entire history of the Southern strategy in a few weeks? You know the Southern strategy? You say the N-word a lot, then you're like, whoa, that backfires. Now we talk about gangsters and thugs. Like, they spent the first week or two saying that Kamala was a fake black woman, or is she Indian or black, or wait, what is even mixed race? I don't know. I'm just going to pretend to forget. And then going after like the crazy cat ladies or whatever else. Then that looks kind of bad. And now they're on phase 2. They've gone Southern strategy. Well, black vice president. Okay. Let's find one video of a gang harassing some people in a fucking house and say that gangs are taking over the building. They're doing the Southern strategy. They have just gone from N-word to dog whistle, but they've had to relearn it. They've had to take a fucking fast track course in the Southern strategy since Kamala became the candidate for the presidency. Bro, that's really impressive, actually. They did it on full fucking display. What the fuck?
Let this happen. We're not going to let them destroy our country. And you know, in those countries, crime is way down. They're taking them out of their prisons, which is good because good for them. I do the same thing.
Do all of it now. All of it. Always. She's a black woman. Okay, let's just everything. Crime associated the fuck with crime. Crime and communism. I love it that they had to skip over that. They had to cross the hurdle of DEI hire fake black woman before they realized that actually you can just talk about crime. Like, oh God.
If I ran one of those countries, any country in the world, I would make sure that America has every one of our prisoners. Every one of our criminals would be here. I can't believe they're going so slowly, but some aren't. But they all are doing it. And we can't let that happen. They're emptying out their prisons and their mental institutions into the United States of America. We can't let that happen.
So a lot of people believe that there was some shady stuff that went on with the election, whether it's media bias or big tech. But still, the claim of widespread fraud is the thing that bothers people.
Well, I don't focus on the past.
Turned into a red mist solves the issue, but people have a very real emotional attachment to the butcher of Khan's Yunus. In the same way killing bin Laden wasn't important at the time it occurred, but it was emotionally important for Americans.
Well, goddamn, thanks for the $100. Now I know why you're a conservative. You got money. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for subsidizing the entire stream today. I don't know. Like, I feel like if it's anything like, you know, when Israelis talk about we've dismantled some battalions, yeah, we got rid of, there's 24 battalions and 22 of them have been fucked up. Like, that works if they're a normal battalion, because a normal battalion, they lose like 30 or 40% of their guys or their equipment, and they're basically non-functional. They don't, like, the whole is much greater than the sum of its parts for a battalion. But if it's Hamas they're not a conventional military. They're between a conventional military and a guerrilla group. So if their battalions get dismantled, they can split up into little cells and like interdependent or independent units. Like, they can survive quite well doing that. And also they can recruit a bunch of new people as they go along as well. I wonder if that applies to their leadership as well. I think it probably does. It might help Israeli morale. How long were you in the army? Currently, I'm still in the process of invading your mom's fanny, consensually. But apart from that, I've never been in the military, no. Uber, thanks for the $5. I'm starting to believe Giuliani just rounded up a bunch of Italian dudes and claimed to take down the mafia. You know what? Maybe. I really apologize to the women in chat for that joke. All three of you. Beanpod, thanks for the tier 1 sub. And Marcus, thanks for the 30 shekels. Here, now put him on 1.5 before we die of boredom. I didn't say how much it would cost. Okay, fine. I'm going to go 1.25. Compromise. Okay.
Past, I focus on the future. I mean, I talk about how bad the economy is, how bad inflation is, how bad things like, which is important. Afghanistan was, in my opinion, the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to our country. And because of that, I think Putin went in when he said
dodge.
How stupid
Wait,
we were.
how did he dodge the voter fraud thing? Also, Lex asking that in the very soft way. But
Inflation is, how bad things like, which is important. Afghanistan, past, I focus on the future. I mean,
but still the claim of widespread fraud is the thing that bothers people.
Well, I don't focus on the past, I focus on the future. I mean, I talk about how bad the economy is, how bad inflation.
he brought up the election in this interview. He talks about it all the fucking time. He still says he won the election. Or if he says he lost, it's only because they cheated with COVID and without COVID and with illegals and whatever. What? Okay. Gaslight.
Is how bad things like, which is important. Afghanistan was, in my opinion, the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to our country. And because of that, I think Putin went in. When he said how stupid we were, Putin went in. But it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. I really believe that. But, you know, we left
for a deal which you kind of organized, right? The pullout that you organized, when you excluded the Afghan government from the talks and released a bunch of Taliban prisoners and left them in an incredibly vulnerable position, but didn't actually have the courage to proceed with the pullout yourself. Needed a real man, Joe Biden, to do it for you, to take the blow.
Left 13 dead soldiers. Think of it, 13 dead soldiers, many soldiers horrifically hurt with arms and legs and everything else gone. We left hostages behind. We left Americans behind. We left military equipment, the likes of which nobody's ever left behind before. Billions and billions of dollars of equipment. They're now selling the equipment. They're one of the largest arms dealers in the world. And very sad, very sad. And we were there for a long time. I was going to get out. We were getting ready to get out. Then we got interrupted by the election. But we would have been out with dignity and strength. We were having very little problem with the Taliban when I was there because they knew it was going to be tough. I dealt with Abdul. Abdul was the leader. And we got along fine. He understood. But, they were shooting.
We had a great relationship, me and the Taliban leader. A great relationship. He's a great guy. Tremendous person. I like the Taliban government too. The Afghan government. The ones we supported for 20 years. Just not enough to invite them to the meetings, Okay.
We're killing a lot of our people before I came down. And when I got there, I spoke to him. I said, can't do it. Don't do it anymore. We went 18 months before this happened. This horrible day happened. We went 18 months and nobody was shot at or killed.
What do you think that was? The carrot or the stick in that case in Afghanistan?
The stick. Definitely
so
the
stick. Threat.
It was the fucking carrot. You gave them what they wanted, you fucking lying snake cunt. Like, what? Is the stick excluding the Afghan government from the talks? What? Another thing people don't actually know that much about with Trump is he also actually relaxed the rules of engagement in Afghanistan for airstrikes. And that is the stick. You know what it resulted in? it resulted in an increase in civilian deaths. 2017, 2020. Because they relaxed the rules of engagement for airstrikes and resulted in an increase in civilian casualties. Which, you know, not good when you're trying to prop up a government that depends on civilian support, at least in part. You want to drive people into the fucking Taliban. There was some general, I can't remember his name, some American general who was literally like, we're going to lose this fucking war because we keep killing civilians. I guess he was right. Is it this one? Oh! General McChrystal. What is it we don't understand? We're going to lose this fucking war if we don't stop killing civilians. And then Trump relaxed the rules of engagement and got more civilians killed.
Force.
That was the stick, yeah.
Yes, they did release 5,000 Taliban prisoners, yes.
Doesn't have to be, but that was the stick.
Well, let me just linger on the election a little bit more. For this election, it might be a close one. What can we do to avoid the insanity and division of the previous election, whether you win or lose?
Well, I hope it's not a close one. I mean, you know, I don't know how people can vote for somebody that has destroyed our country. The inflation, the bad economy, but to me, in a way, the worst is what they've allowed to happen at our border, where they've allowed millions of people to come in here from places that you don't want to know about. And I have
no idea where he's getting millions from. Is there even a number? Hang on, number. Is he talking about number of border encounters and assuming that's just millions of people coming into the United States? I think he's just counting encounters. And then even then he's exaggerating the numbers because I've heard him say like over 10 million, which is, even then though, border encounters, yeah, that's like less than 1 million a year. That was during COVID. But he thinks that's people who have been let in and are, I guess, going to vote in the next election. Okay.
I believe that there's going to be a close election. You know, we're leading in the polls, and it looks close, but I think in the end, it's not going to be a close election.
What do you think is the right way to solve the immigration crisis? Is mass deportation one of the solutions you would think about?
Well, you've got to get the criminals out of here fast, right? You know, the people from mental institutions, you got to get them back into their mental institution. No country can afford this. You know, it's just too much money. You look at what's happening in New York and Chicago and LA and lots of places, and you take a look at what's happening. There's no country can afford this. We can't afford it. And we've got to get the bad ones out immediately, and the rest have to be worked on. You know, it's happened before. Dwight Eisenhower was sort of a moderate president, moderate type person, but he hated when he saw people pouring into the country, and they were nothing like now. You know, I probably got elected in 2016 because of the border. And I told people what was happening, and they understood it. And I won the election, I think, because of the border. Our border is 25 times worse right now than it was in 2016.
What is an asylum seeker? That's a question Lex should ask Trump. What is an asylum seeker? What's the asylum process? What are you supposed to do if you want to claim asylum in the United States? That would be a good question.
I had it fixed. I had it the last week of the famous chart that I put up was exactly that. You know the chart? When I looked to the right, I said, there's the chart. That was not a pleasant experience. But the chart that I put up said, and that was done by Border Patrol, that was the lowest number that we've ever had come into our country in recorded history. And we have to get it back to that again. We will.
Let me ask you about Project 2025. So you've publicly said that you don't have any direct connection to Project
nothing. I know nothing about it. And they know that too. Democrats know that. And I purposely haven't read it because I want to say to you, I have no idea
I do believe he might think an asylum seeker is a mentally insane person who is let out of the asylum and sent to the United States. You know, the same way that Castro sent a bunch of criminals over to fucking Florida, like in Scarface. I wonder if he actually believes that. Hannibal Lecter, yeah, like Buffalo Bill. Okay.
It's all about. It's easier than saying.
Someone should just ask him. Can someone please just ask him what an asylum seeker is? Has no one in his campaign staff been like, Mr. President? Okay, I know I don't mean to be insulting. Okay, you're a very smart person, the smartest kind, the best. I'm rooting for you. Can we just sit down and talk about what an asylum seeker is? We're gonna just give you a 10-minute breakdown of the asylum process, asylum stats. Not even stats. No, don't worry. Just what an asylum seeker is. Please.
I read it and, all of the things. No, I purposely haven't read it. And I've heard about it. I've heard about things that are in there that I don't like. And there's some things in there that everybody would like. But there are things that I don't like at all. And I think it's unfortunate that they put it out, but it doesn't mean anything because it has nothing to do with me. Project 25 has absolutely nothing to do with me.
You posted recently about marijuana and that you're okay with it being legalized, but it has to be done safely. Can you explain your policy there?
Well, I just put out a paper. And first of all, medical marijuana has been amazing. I've had friends and I've had others and doctors telling me that it's been absolutely amazing, the medical marijuana. And we put out a statement that we can live with the marijuana. It's got to be a certain age, to buy it. It's got to be done in a very concerted, lawful way. And the way they're doing it in Florida, I think, is going to be actually good. It's going to be very good. But it's got to be done in a good way. It's got to be done in a clean way. You go into some of these places, like in New York, it smells all marijuana. You've got to have a system where there's control. And I think the way they've done it in Florida is very good.
Do you know anything about psychedelics? So I'm not a drug guy, but I recently did ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that speak to sort of the health benefits and the spiritual benefits of these different psychedelics.
Right.
I think we'd probably have a better world if everybody in Congress took some mushrooms, perhaps. Now I know you stay away from all of that stuff. I know also veterans use it for dealing with PTSD and all that kind of stuff. So it's great, and it's interesting that you're thinking about being more accepting.
It's funny because the next segment is called Joe Rogan.
Eventually, but the only correct thing Trump has said is that Dwight Eisenhower is a centrist and spared us a nuclear apocalypse when the US lost its global monopoly on nuclear weapons. Best president.
Don't know if that's true, but I'll take your word for it for now. Thanks for the $20, Grassroots Hegemon. Also, I don't know. I really hope I don't get a DM tomorrow saying that you were having a fucking episode. You're too kind. Killing me. You're also making the rest of chat look bad. Everyone else looks really bad for how little they're donating compared to you, Grassroots. I'm just saying. Like, they look bad to me. Like, as in, I don't think they look good. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Some of these drugs, which don't just have a recreational purpose, but a medical purpose, a treatment purpose.
So we put out a statement today. We're going to put out another one probably next week, be more specific, although I think it's pretty specific. And we'll see how that all goes. That's a referendum coming up in some states, but it's coming up, and we'll see how it does. I will say it's been very hard to beat it. You take a look at the numbers, it's been very hard to beat it. So I think it'll generally pass, but you want to do it in a safe way.
Speaking of marijuana, let me ask you about my good friend Joe Rogan. So you had a bit of tension with him.
Uh-oh.
So when he said nice things about RFK Jr., I think you've said some not so nice things about Joe. And I think that was a bit unfair.
That was so
and
funny.
As a fan of
Joe Rogan and Kyle Rittenhouse were just such a good illustration of how much of a fucking cult the MAGA movement is. It was just such a good illustration of how much intimidation that they use to get people to do what they want. It's so funny. Fuck.
Joe, I would love to.
What's the most that's ever been donated in a live stream? There was definitely one time when the bar went to $1,000, but I don't know if it was carrying over the previous day. I think it was about $1,000. Yeah.
To see you do his podcast because he is legit the greatest conversationalist in the world. So what's the story behind the tension?
I don't think there was any tension, and I've always liked him, but I don't know him. I mean, I only see him when I walk into the arena with Dana, and I shake his hand. I see him there, and I think he's good at what he does, but I don't know about doing his podcast.
Rittenhouse. Remember Remember how Rittenhouse had to learn the hard way? Because no, Rittenhouse was actually like, he was categorical. He was like, I want to support Ron Paul because of the Second Amendment. He's the only one who'll defend the Second Amendment. And one day later, after getting berated, losing tens of thousands of followers, getting fucking threats, getting transvestigated. He was getting people were trying to figure out if he was trans, bro. Kyle. And then he flipped back. He gave up. He gave up the struggle just like that. Where is it?
I mean, I guess I'd do it, but I haven't been asked, and I'm not asking them, you know. I'm not asking anybody.
It sounds like a challenging negotiation situation.
No, it's not. It's not really a negotiation. And he's sort of a liberal guy, I guess, you know, from what I understand. But he likes Kennedy. This was before I found this out before Kennedy came in with us. He's going to be great. Bobby's going to be great. But I like that he likes Kennedy. I do too. You know, he's a different kind of a guy, but he's got some great things going. And I think he's going to be beyond politics. I think he could be quite influential in taking care of some situations that you probably would agree should be taken care of.
The Joe Rogan post is an example. I'd love to get your psychology about behind the tweets and the posts on Truth. Are you sometimes being intentionally provocative, or are you just speaking your mind? And are there times where you regret some of the truths you've posted?
Yeah, I do. I mean, but not that often, honestly. You know, I do a lot of reposting. The ones you get in trouble with are the reposts, because you find down deep they're into some group that you're not supposed to be reposting. You don't even know if those groups.
One of the things he reposted up to January 6th was someone who actually revealed the scheme, the fake elector scheme. Like basically the Eastman memo, but just from some outsider who was saying what should be done, and he had to delete it afterwards. Here it is. This is Kyle. This was Kyle the day after saying, the day after suggesting he would vote for Ron Paul to protect the Second Amendment. Poor guy, man. Was it an alt account of Chesbro? Oh, I think it was. Cheesebro alt account. Yeah, I think so. Bro. Huh.
Good, bad, or indifferent. But the reposts are the ones that really get you in trouble. When you do your own words, it's sort of easier. But the reposts go very quickly.
Hegemon's caretaker. Please time him out. This is supposed to be his September groceries allowance.
Oh no. Is he an asylum seeker? Is that what this is? He's out of the asylum and looking for an American one. He wants to upgrade his asylum from Mexican to American. Huh.
And if you're going to check every single little
Thanks for $10,
symbol,
Jane Sox. Appreciate that.
And I don't know. It's worked out pretty well for me. I tell you, it's Truth is very powerful. Truth. And it's my platform, and it's been very powerful. Very, very powerful. Goes everywhere. I call it my typewriter. You know, that's actually my typewriter.
What are you doing usually when you're composing a truth? Like, are you chilling back on a couch?
Couches, beds.
Okay.
A lot of different things. I mean,
like late at night and just
I'd like to do some late at night. You know, I'm not a huge sleeper, but whenever I do them, you know, past like 3 o'clock, they criticize you the next day. Trump was up truthing. Okay. Trump was truthing at 3 o'clock in the morning. And there should be no problem with that. And then when you think about time zones, how do they know that you're like, you know, in a time zone, like an Eastern zone? So, but every time I do it after like 2 or 3 o'clock, it's like, why is he doing that? But it's gotten, I mean, you know, the Truth has become a very successful platform, and I like doing it. And it goes everywhere. As soon as I do it, it goes everywhere.
The country seems more divided than ever.
Yeah.
What can you do to help alleviate some of that division?
Well, you can get rid of these two people. They're terrible. They're terrible. You don't want to have them running this country. They're not equipped to run it. Joe, it's a disaster. Okay. And Kamala, I think she'll end up being worse than him. We'll see. I think a lot's now, you know, the convention's over with, and I see I'm leading in just about all the polls now. They had their little honeymoon period, as they call it. And we'll see how that all goes. Who knows? So.
From my personal opinion, I think you are at your best when you're talking about a positive vision of the future versus criticizing the other side.
Yeah, I think you have to criticize, though. I think they're nasty. They came up with a story that I looked down and I called soldiers that died in World War I suckers and losers.
I think it's basically there were like 4 people there with him who verified that he said this, but okay.
Now, number one, who would say that? Number two, who would say it to military people? Nobody. It was a made-up story. It was just
He made fun of McCain for getting captured, so why wouldn't you? Okay.
Made-up story. And they like to repeat it over again. They know it was made up. I have 26 witnesses that nothing was said. They don't want to hear about that. Like she lied on McDonald's. She said that...
Are these witnesses, or were these just people who had seen him that day?
That you worked at McDonald's. It's not a big lie, but it's a big lie. It's so, I mean, they just went and they checked. And unless you can show something, they don't talk about, the presses are going to follow up with it, but I'll keep hammering it. But she never worked at McDonald's. It was just sort of a cool thing to say, hey, I worked at McDonald's, But one of the worst was 2 days ago, I went to Arlington at the request of people that lost their children. There'll always be children to those people. You understand that? That's not politically incorrect thing to say. The mother comes up, I lost my child. But, the child is a soldier. And lost the child because of Biden and because of Kamala. Just as though they had the gun in their hand, because it was so badly handled. It should have been done at Bagram, which is the big air base. It shouldn't have been done at a small little airport right in the middle of town where people stormed it. It was a true disaster. And they asked me if I'd come and celebrate with them 3 years. 3 years. They died 3 years ago. And I said, I'm going to try. I got to know them because I brought them here, actually. One night, they almost all came here. And they said, I wonder if Trump will actually come and see us. I heard they were here. I came, saw them, and we stayed for like 4 hours listening to music up on a deck right upstairs. Beautiful. And they were great people. So they called me over the last couple of weeks, and they said, we're going to have a reunion, our 3-year reunion. Would you be able to come? And it was very hard for me to do it logistically, but I said, I'll get it done.
Did he say celebrate? Do Americans use that word? Commemorate? Okay.
And I got there. And we had a beautiful time. I didn't run away. I didn't just walk in, shake hands, and walk in like people do. And I wasn't looking at my watch like Joe Biden does. And it was amazing. So I did it for them. I didn't do it for me. I don't need the publicity. I mean, I get more publicity probably than anybody. You would know that better than me, but I think maybe more than anybody. Maybe more than anybody that's ever lived. I don't know. But I don't think anyone could have any more. Every time you turn on television, there's like 9 different...
That's where at Kabul airport. Not some small port. Okay. I can't keep up.
Ever lived. I don't know. But I don't think anyone could
it was Kabul International, yeah.
Have anymore. Every time you turn on television, there's like 9 different stories, all on different topics, and they're all about Trump. As an example, you interview a lot of people, good people, successful people. Let's see how you do with this interview versus them, okay? I mean, I can tell you right now, you're going to get the highest numbers you've ever had by sometimes a factor of 10. But
yes, the numbers.
When a Gold Star family asks me to come in and spend time with them, and then they said, sir, we did a ceremony, and then we went down to the graves, which was quite a distance away. They said, sir, would you come to the grave? And then they said when we were there, it's very sad actually, because these people shouldn't have died. They shouldn't have died. They died because of Biden and because of Kamala. They died because it's just like if they pulled the trigger, okay? Now, I don't know if that's controversial to say, but I don't think it is. Afghanistan was the most incompetently run operation I think I've ever...
He's such an unbelievable piece of shit. And the fact that you can't allow someone to talk about this without letting the audience know that this timeline was set by Trump. That the disadvantages the Afghan government were placed under were in large part because of Trump. Because Trump pressured the Afghan government to release 5,000 prisoners from the Taliban, and that they excluded them from the talks.
Ever seen, military or otherwise, they're incompetent. But the families asked me if I'd go. I did go. Then the family said, could we have a picture at the tombstone of my son? And we did. Son or daughter. There was a daughter too.
Just like they pulled the trigger. Holy shit. Oh, what a disgusting piece of shit. Fuck me. He's actually like a pathetic, like horrible, vain, miserable cunt, isn't he? Like he's just horrible in every fucking way. Like I feel like conservatives don't really get that side of things. Like it's not just that, because conservatives, yeah, whatever, they don't care about policy or they want to block the border or whatever the fuck else. But at the end of the day, this guy is just a bad person. He's an indecent person. He's like all the things a conservative tries to get their child like not to be, you know? Not humble, he's not Christian, he's not fucking well behaved, he's like miserable fucking personal life with his marriages and everything, and the fucking Stormy Daniels thing, and mocks veterans, and then lies habitually. Like, come on. Fuck.
And I took numerous pictures with the families. I don't know if anybody else that was in the pictures, but they were mostly families, I guess. That was it. And then I left. I spent a lot of time with them. Then I left. And I get home that night and I get a call that the Biden administration with Kamala is accusing me of using Arlington for publicity. I was in just the opposite. Just the opposite. And actually, did you see, it just came out, the families actually put out a very strong statement defending me. They said, we asked him to be there.
Well, politicians and the media can play those games. And you're right. Your name gets a lot of views. You're probably legit the most.
Oh, so that's just a kind of tacit agreement. Wasn't there a difference? I don't care about this stuff because it's American politics, but in terms of Arlington, I'm pretty sure there was something particularly controversial about the way Trump did it. Where is it? I know this because my legal sources, my legal team was talking about it. Is it because of you're doing it for partisan purposes?
Donald Trump is reading this comment in synchronization with you, and me calling him a gay communist will just whoosh right over his head. He is a sync for any validation, positive or negative.
Thanks for the $10, Grassroots Hegemon. I really appreciate that. Okay. It's something about doing a campaign ad there. But other people have done that as well. It just depends on... I think the difference is that you can go there to see the families or whatever else, and you can use the photos after you've been there if you want. But I don't think you can go there for partisan purposes. I think that's where he went a little bit against the rules. Let's get bigger. Okay. Filming or photographing will not be permitted if it conveys the impression that cemetery officials or any visitor or family member is endorsing any product, service, or organization. So if you just go there to commemorate, then you fuck off. But you use the pictures afterwards, that's fine. But if you go there to like endorse your campaign, it's the thumbs up. If you go there for the photo op, like that's why you're there, and you're doing it while you're there, like that's where it's a bit different. Okay. Wow. Specific areas are off limits. What a fucking brain rot conversation, man.
Famous person in the world. But on the previous thing, in the spirit of unity, you used to be a Democrat.
Yeah.
Setting the politicians aside, what do you respect most about people who lean left, who are Democrats themselves or of that persuasion, progressives, liberals, and so on?
Well, look, I respect the fact that everybody's in there. And, you know, to a certain extent, life is what you do while you're waiting to die. So you might as well do a good job. I think in terms of what's happening now, I think, you know, we have a chance to save the country. This country's going down. And I called it with Venezuela. I called it with a lot of different countries. And this country is going down. If we don't win this election, the election coming up on November 5th is the most important election this country's ever had. Because if we don't win it, I don't know that there'll be another election. And it's going to be a communist country or close.
There's a lot of people listening to this, myself included, that doesn't think that Kamala is a communist.
Well, she's a Marxist.
Her father's a Marxist,
That's right.
and she's
It's a
advocating.
little
Her
unusual.
father is not necessarily a Marxist, okay? Like there was a whole wiki war about this, about trying to edit the Wikipedia to make him into a Marxist. He is an economist who has written about Marx sometimes, which again, like every other social scientist, and economics is partly a social science, will write about Marx at some point in their life. But okay, Lex. At least you guys are plugged into the same sources. God damn it. Fuck.
You know,
She's advocating for some policies that are towards the direction of democratic socialism, let's say. But there's a lot of people that kind of know the way government works, and they say, well, none of those policies are going to actually come to reality. It's just being used during the campaign to, groceries are too expensive. We need them cheaper. So let's talk about price controls. And that's never going to come to reality.
it could come to reality. Look, I mean, she came out with price control. It's been tried like 121 different times at different places over the years, and it's never worked once. It leads to communism. It leads to socialism. It leads to having no food on the shelves, and it leads to tremendous inflation.
It's just
It's a bad idea.
whenever we use terms like communism for her, and I don't know if you know this, but some people call you a fascist.
Yeah, they do. So I figure it's all right to
It's
call
very
that.
clear. Like there are states in America that already have price gouging laws. Actually, didn't the United States use price controls during World War II? Fuck me. It's not even, price gouging laws are not the same as price controls, but fuck.
I'm a communist. Yeah, they call me a lot worse than I call them.
They do indeed. It's just sometimes
It's interesting, though. They'll call me something that's terrible, and then I'll hit them back. And they'll say, isn't it terrible what Trump said? I said, well, wait a minute. They just called me. So I believe you have to fight fire with fire. I believe they're very evil people. These are evil people. We have an enemy from the outside, and we have an enemy from within. And in my opinion, the enemy from within are radical left lunatics. And I think you have to fight back.
whenever there's a lot of fighting fire with fire, it's too easy to forget that there's a middle of America that is that's moderate and kind of sees the good in both sides and just likes one side more than the other in terms of policies. Like I said, there's a lot of people that like your policies, that like your skill in being able to negotiate and end wars, and they don't see the impending destruction of America.
What war did Trump negotiate to end? What is he talking about? It can't be the Afghan war because apparently that was a failure. Ending that war was a failure. So he can't take credit for that. Is it really just him claiming responsibility for ending the war? But he just gave all the baggage of actually executing it, his fucking pullout plan, to Biden. Okay. I have no idea what Lex is talking about there. He's just giving it to him on a fucking plate. Yeah, he's trying to have it in both ways, for sure.
We had no wars when I was president. That's a big thing. Not since 78 years has that happened. But we had no wars when I was president. We defeated ISIS, but that was a war that was started that we weren't anywhere near defeating. But think of it, I had no wars. And Viktor Orban, the prime minister of Hungary, said the world has to have Trump back because everybody was afraid of Trump. Now, that's what he said. So I'm not using that term, but I think they respected me. But he said China was afraid, Russia was afraid, everybody was afraid. And I don't care what word they use. Probably that's even a better word if you want to know the truth.
Western Sahara. Oh, that could be. Wait, is the Western Sahara war over? Wait, what are you talking about? Is that a troll? Hang on. What happened here? Morocco and the Abraham Accords. I don't know. In the sense that they recognize Moroccan sovereignty over Western Sahara in exchange for Morocco recognizing Israel. Is that what you're talking about? Was there a war though? Was the Western Sahara war still going on in Trump's presidency? I thought that was like a frozen conflict. I don't really know if that's what he's talking about in terms of ending wars. But okay.
But let's use the word respect. They had respect for me. They had respect for the country. I mean, I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, the Russian pipeline. Nobody else could have done that. I ended it. It was done. Then Biden comes in and he approved it. So we're defending Germany and these other countries for peanuts compared to what it's worth. And they're paying the person we're defending them against billions and billions of dollars for energy. I said, how does that work? And we had it out with them, and it worked out good. And they paid hundreds of billions of dollars. Or you wouldn't even have a NATO right now. You wouldn't have NATO if it wasn't for.
Oh, but again, it's not really even ending a war. He just kind of gave recognition to Morocco, even though the conflict itself wasn't. It's like recognizing Jerusalem isn't obviously ending the conflict, or recognizing the Golan Heights isn't ending the conflict. Apparently, in 2023, the Western Sahara conflict heated up. So he didn't end this. He didn't end any wars here. He just sold it out. Okay. One day I'll learn about what the fuck's happened here in Western Sahara. Declaration of a return to the armed struggle. Damn, what a familiar sentence. Okay. Well.
As the leader of the United States, you were the most powerful man in the world. As you mentioned, not only the most famous, but the most powerful. And if you become leader again, you will have unprecedented power. Just on your own personal psychology, what does that power do to you? Is there any threat of it corrupting how you see the world?
No, I don't think so. Look, I've been there for 4 years. I could have done a big number on Hillary Clinton. I thought it looked terrible to take the president's wife and put her in prison. She's so lucky. I didn't do anything. She's so lucky. Hillary is a lucky woman because...
Is there any... I think Trump didn't do anything because they didn't have anything. She didn't plead the fifth once. She sat through all the hearings. There is some, I don't know if it's confirmed. Is it confirmed? I'm pretty sure, did Trump not try to get the DOJ to go after Hillary? Did he not try to get criminal charges against Hillary? Or is that just a rumor? I think he probably just realized there was nothing and then just left it and just made it look like a nice gesture. So this is in November 2016. Would not pursue a further investigation into her emails to help her heal. Would not appoint a special prosecutor to look into the former Secretary of State, as he had pledged during campaigning. Fresh inquiries not off the table, but didn't want to hurt the Clintons. The FBI cleared her. Criticized the private email server. So the FBI clears her, and then Trump says, I'm letting you off because I'm a nice guy. Okay. Well. Didn't he say it was like because he thinks Biden got the DOJ to go after him? He said that was Gestapo-like, didn't he? That's one of his Hitler references. He said that Biden was running a Gestapo administration. And this is because of the Mar-a-Lago raid? Okay. This was the same DOJ that was going after Hunter as well. So, okay. Wow.
I had a lot of people pushing me to. They wanted to see something, but I could have done something very bad. I thought it looked so bad. Think of it. You have the president of the United States, and you also had Secretary of State, right? She was. But you're going to put the president's wife in prison? And yet when I got out there, they have all these hoaxes. They're all hoaxes. But they have all these dishonest hoaxes, just like they did in the past with Russia. That was a hoax. The 51 different, agencies or agents, that was a hoax. The whole thing was a hoax. There was so many hoaxes and scams. But I didn't want to put her in jail. And I didn't. And I explained it to people. You know, they say, lock her up, lock her up. It doesn't. We won. I said, we don't want to put her in jail. We want to bring the country together. I want to bring the country together. You don't bring the country together by putting her in jail. But then when I got out, you know, they went to work on me. It's amazing. And they suffer from massive Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. And I don't know if it's curable from their standpoint.
A lot of people are very interested in footage of
Sorry, you committed crimes, bro. We know.
UFOs. The Pentagon has released a few videos, and there's been anecdotal reports from fighters.
Hang on. I don't know how. This isn't a strong commitment because I haven't looked that far into it. I think the only reason Trump says this is because he tried to go after Hillary but couldn't. This is from the New York Times. White House counsel Don McGahn wrote a memo to dissuade Trump, noting that potential consequences could include impeachment. Trump wanted to prosecute former election rival Hillary Clinton and ex-FBI Director James Comey, but was talked out of it, the New York Times reported on Tuesday. The president told then White House counsel Don McGahn in the spring that he wanted to order the Justice Department to bring charges against the pair, the Times said, citing two unnamed people familiar with the conversation. He wrote a memo to dissuade Trump, noting that the potential consequences for such an action could include impeachment, according to the report. He continued to privately discuss the matter, including the possible appointment of a second special counsel to investigate both Clinton and Comey. Yeah. I think he tried to and failed. I don't know if this is all like 100%, but I think that's the most likely. It's not news that Trump wants DOJ to investigate or prosecute Clinton or Comey. Goldsmith tweeted, oh yeah, Harvard law professor. Long expressed that opinion on Twitter and elsewhere. Huh. Did they at least try and investigate her? You know what? I don't know. Didn't Lex comment on one of your streams? Could you get him on at some point? I did. So I messaged him once because he was doing a Trump debate thing and wanted guests. He didn't reply though. I'm not a big deal, okay? I need to go after slightly smaller fish, I think, than big old Lex.
Fighter pilots. So a lot of people want to know, will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll do that. I would do that. I'd love to do that. I have to do that. But they also are pushing me on Kennedy. And I did release a lot, but I had people come to me and beg me not to do it. But I'll be doing that very early on. But I would do that.
There's a moment where you had some hesitation about Epstein, releasing some of the documents on Epstein. Why the hesitation?
I don't think I'm not involved. I never went to his island, fortunately. But a lot of people did.
Why do you think so many smart, powerful people allowed him to get so close?
He was a good salesman. He was, was a Hale and Hardy type of guy. He had some nice assets that he'd throw around, like islands. But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list
though?
of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago.
What did he say again? What did he say about Epstein? How, again, can you imagine if Obama said something? Fuck me, it fucks with my head. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's had a lot of fun to be with. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. No need to speculate. What is it he said to that fucking 10-year-old?
Thursday night. You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
Bro.
Thursday night. You're going up the escalator?
There's a local urban rumor in Aberdeen, because Trump was here for his golf course, right? There's an urban rumor from one of the council workers who was involved in that whole shit show of trying to get the golf course negotiated. Apparently, one of these guys was talking to Trump, and he's got his 16-year-old daughter next to him, and apparently Trump was like hitting on her. And I think he just said, "Your daughter's hot," and she was like 16. Like, it's like an urban myth. Obviously, none of it was recorded, so it's just one person's word. I mean, I've met the guy who said that Trump said that about his daughter, but don't know. That's just a story people tell around town.
You know, they do that for danger too, because, you know, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
That's great to hear. What gives you strength when you're getting attacked? You're one of the most attacked people in the world.
I think you can't care that much. I know people that care so much about everything, like what people are saying. You can't care too much because you end up choking.
One of the tragic things about life is that it ends. How often do you think about your death? Are you afraid of it?
I have a friend who's very, very successful, and he's in his 80s, mid-80s, and he asked me that exact same question. I turned it around. I said, well, what about you? He said, I think about it every minute of every day. And then a week later, he called me to tell me something, and he starts off the conversation by going, tick tock, tick tock.
Yeah.
Now, this is a dark person, you know, in a sense, but it is what it is. I mean, you know, if you're religious, you have, I think, a better feeling toward it. You know, you're supposed to go to heaven, ideally not hell, but you're supposed to go to heaven if you're good. I think our country's missing a lot of religion. I think it really was a much better place with religion. It was almost a guide, you know, to a certain extent it was a guide. You want to be good to people. Without religion, there are no guardrails.
This guy is the least Christian president ever in the fucking White House. Like, what the fuck? Okay. Even less than Barack Hussein Obama.
Love to see us get back to religion, more religion in this country.
Well, Mr. President, thank you for putting yourself out there, and thank you for talking today.
Look, I love the country. I want to see the country be great, and we have a real chance of doing it, but it's our last chance, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this conversation with
What an incredibly boring conversation. Quite disappointing. I mean, I knew I was going to be disappointed, but I didn't know I'd be that disappointed. My God. The thing is, like, if you're an interviewer, you could say, and I feel okay about saying this about people I've interviewed, if someone's a bit wacky, it's okay to just let them speak because you want the audience to just be like, okay, this is who this person is. Here we go. It's not debate, it's an interview. But that was just, everyone knows all those lines from Trump. That's just that's a Trump speech. That's a Trump rally speech that he just gave quietly to Lex in the form of an interview. I don't know why you would do that. Like, everyone knows what Trump's talking points are. Everyone knows his little list, his little one-dimensional fucking, like, post-it note of talking points that he just manages to make last 2 hours. But like, why wouldn't you use that opportunity to give like pushback to get a more unique conversation? I don't get it. Eek. Like, you might as well have just got Trump to read out one of his speeches at his rallies and just edit Lex in afterwards. He's deleting comments on YouTube and Reddit. Is he? I mean, be careful with that, because YouTube, and I don't know if Reddit does, but YouTube will auto-delete comments a lot, especially if you're spamming. But or it's just all DGG. That you do one of those ones, okay? The only pushback was simping for Joe Rogan. God. I don't know. Don't like it. Don't like it. Not impressed. Okay, there are so many fucking things that I've missed here. All right. T, thanks for the $3. Bringing Joe Rogan points as facts. Hilarious. Well, Grassroots Hegemon, thanks for the $5. Oh, we're about to find out, and don't worry about me. I'm very lucky in all the right places. Okay, cool, whatever that means. Dr. Gonzo, thanks for the 1971. Eisenhower presided over the largest buildup of military capacity in history and let people like Alan Dulles and Joe McCarthy run wild. Wow, that all sounds bad. I don't know anything about Eisenhower, but he also shat on Israel over the Suez Canal crisis. So, maybe he's a mixed bag. I don't know. Gnarly Bonesful, thanks to the 5 Canadian. Look up the Atlantic article, Arlington debacle, for a good picture of his Arlington ceremony. Okay, I'll consider it. Grassroots Hegemon, thanks for the $2. Just tell him he's pretty. Who? I don't know. Thanks for the $2 again. Haven't even tried puppy dog eyes and say war bad. I don't know. Toyota Corolla, thanks for the $4.99. I love how Private Bone Spurs has the nerve to call out Biden and Kamala while smiling and using a Marine's grave as a campaign stop. Grassroots Hegemon, thanks for the $5. Still makes me mad Donald Trump is the first atheist president. Okay. Yeah, well. Banger. Okay. What now? I was only going to do a short stream today. I told myself I was going to do shorter streams and less stupid filler like reading and whatever else. Like, prefer to do my reading off stream. Did you see Yair Golan doesn't support 2 states anymore? Nope. Doesn't surprise me though. I think he probably is one of those confederation guys, right? Because 2 states is, didn't work or whatever. Security, 9 miles. Fucking not great. Not great. I need to find where the fucking thing was that I lost. Oh God, Tim Pool. Oh God. Look up the photo. It's weird and bizarre. What photo? Which one? Not Confederation. Okay. Anything but the Emirate solution. Obviously. Okay. Where is this? Okay.
Time.
All right. Take care, guys.
Before we go to Emily,
wants that.
Anthony,
He's been very honest about it.
Who
to
do you
his staff.
think? Okay, but here's a tough question for you before I go to Emily to respond. If you're Vladimir Putin or you're Kim Jong-un or you're President Xi, who are you going to be more or less intimidated by? Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
Trump. There's no question Kamala Harris. It's not even close because he wants to be them. He praises them. He solicits them. He tells Putin from a microphone like this, go ahead and invade the countries that are not spending 2% on NATO. You heard him say that. It's not me saying it.
Yeah, but I knew what he meant by that.
No question.
I knew what he meant. What he meant was if the member countries of NATO don't pay their dues, it is more likely that people like Putin will take advantage. That's what he meant. You know that.
It's a 2016 analysis, Piers. Your analysis is a 2016 analysis. He dupes people. He says 2 things at the same time that are quite contradictory.
All right, let me bring it
on both sides.
Let me bring in Emily.
Then he denounces the Nazis.
Emily, you were holding your face in utter
I know
horror.
the playbook, Pierce. I've been around it for a decade.
Okay, I saw Emily hold her head in horror as you said that the world's dictators will be more intimidated by Kamala Harris.
No question, because she's going to be with NATO.
Donald Trump has the spinal cord and the international respect that Biden in a million years can never achieve. Donald Trump had every world leader afraid of him. He just said, Anthony, that Donald Trump should not, excuse me, let me speak. You just said Donald Trump should not have gone to North Korea. If this man has international respect and can go build bridges overseas, he has every single right and a duty as our leader to do so. Let me tell you something about Donald Trump. Like him or not, he is feared. And that is what we need when the world has gone mad and you have Putin's invading Ukraine and you have Hamas's attacking Israel and kidnapping 7 Americans that Biden failed, including, like Vinny just said, Hersh Goldberg Poland being murdered with Hamas posting a video. And what is Biden's response? Netanyahu didn't do enough. Biden's only response should have been Hamas will pay the price. Biden should have been more present, not on a beach using Hersh's poor parents as political tools at the DNC, pretending he cares about the American hostages, not relaxing in Delaware. They should have been more pressure on Iran to put pressure on the proxies, more negotiations with Qatar. Instead, he's this weak leader. But you know what? I want to pause for a moment. I'm blaming Joe Biden. I actually want to criticize the puppeteers that are controlling him, because I genuinely believe he has one foot in the grave. And that actually goes to a bigger problem, which is the entire Democratic Party. We don't know who's in charge. It is not Joe Biden, and it is surely as hell not Kamala Harris. So it goes back to Pierce's question, who is running the show, and how come
You're sending me an article about Sinwar saying that Hamas believed that they could conquer Israel and divide it into cantons. Yeah, I've read that article. Yeah, Sinwar's gone kind of mental. Yeah, I read that. Yeah. We read that whole thing. Don't worry.
We as the American people are not so outraged that this weakness is causing mass chaos, not just here, but all around the world? America is next. The West.
Okay, just to be careful, guys. I don't like it when people say "dumb bitch" in chat. Like, it's just not good. It doesn't set a good example. Okay, because as soon as one dumb bitch is allowed in chat, like they're just gonna be all over the fucking place. It's not good. It's not good for the. Take half an hour. Okay, just a little warning shot.
Is the target. The Middle East is laughing at us right now because we have no leadership. Donald Trump.
It's not unisex. It's misogynistic slur. That's what it is. Sorry. Now tell me that it's actually the behavior we're attacking. Do that one. Do the N-word defense.
Never let that happen.
Okay,
people respected him and people feared him, and I don't care if you like him or not. That doesn't matter when you vote.
Let me bring in Cenk, who's been waiting with unusual patience, it has to be said. I put it down to you must have had a summer break of some description that's calmed you a little bit. But be honest with me, Cenk. Do you really believe that when it comes to standing up to world leaders like Kim Jong-un, like Putin, like Xi and others, do you really believe that Kamala Harris is somebody that will exude an air on behalf of the United States that will be more intimidating to those guys than Trump would?
It's not even close. Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. You guys are looking at it, it's like all of this foreign policy's emotional vibes in the room. And Kamala Harris walks in and are they like, oh my God, I'm intimidated. Or, oh, it's no big deal. And Trump walks in, they're like, oh my God, I fear him. No, it's about what you're willing to do, your actions, your policies, etc.
Yeah, this is such a. I don't know why people were allowed to get away with this myth of the idea that a strong man, like that's how it works. Like a strong man comes into the negotiation room and they people are scared that they're going to do what? Like, what's Trump going to do? Like assault someone or what? It doesn't make any sense at all. They play out that myth in House of Cards, in the American House of Cards. You know, in the American House of Cards, when like they have the more liberal guy in charge when the president's away, and he has to deal with foreign policy and terrorists, and he's like, "Oh, we really demand that you abide by our terms," and then Frank comes in like, "Listen here, the time for concessions is over." Like, it's just not how it fucking works. At the end of the day, if you're a negotiator in a war, you have all your advisors, your military people, and you have a country with a military and all your big guns, and they've got their military and their guns. If you got bigger guns and bigger military than them and a better negotiating position, you can like take more from them than they can take from you, you're going to be fine. Stop with this fucking idea that someone throwing his weight around over the phone is going to be the thing that like gets a good deal out of him, like Putin. Fuck me. Case in point, Putin with his army full of fucking homophobes, right? How are they doing? They're slogging it. And the they-them army that's backing up Ukraine has managed to hold them at bay pretty impressively, actually. I think people expected Russia to roll over Ukraine in a few days. Putin expected that. And he's such a strong man. Why didn't Zelensky just roll over and give him everything he wants?
Kamala Harris have. Kamala Harris has the might of the administrative state and the U.S. military behind her, and they know she's stable and she...
Did you see that Russian military ad? Which one? I saw the one that has them looking all macho. Yeah. And the Syrian girl, someone saying that the they-them army doesn't stand a chance. I saw that one. Grassroots, thanks for the $2. Telling you, man, puppy dog eyes are powerful. Okay.
Represents the general American establishment. Now, a lot of people might say, hey, I don't love the establishment, etc., but it is a fearsome entity. And everybody knows that a normal president of the United States speaks on behalf of that entity, and they fear that entity. When Donald Trump walks in the room, they're like, oh, thank God, what a clown. Okay, so easy to manipulate him. Here, let's tell him we like him. Hey, Donnie, we like you. You think, oh, I like you. I'm going to write love letters to you. So while he said he was writing love letters to Kim Jong-un built 6 nukes. What happened, tough guy? You let him build all those nukes. Yeah. You did nothing about it.
Good, solid point, Cenk. Yeah.
Idiot, so easily manipulated. You think Putin doesn't know that? They do a meeting. Trump comes out. He's like, Putin is right. Not our intelligence. The U.S. sucks. Putin is right. That weak guy just cares about money. You know what he says about the Saudis? They give me $30-40 million for an apartment. Shouldn't I like them? Obviously corrupt, easily manipulated, a tiny mind. He's done nothing but encourage our enemies by being so weak and such an obvious narcissist. Do you know how easily I could play that guy if I'm in a room with him? You just go tweak here, tweak there, and he's discombobulated, right? And if you're not going to do it by flattery, which is the easiest thing in the world, you just get under his skin a little bit. Hey, your hair doesn't look good. Oh, what? I'm going to attack you. Come on, this guy's a fool. Look, all of you know it. All of you know. That's why you're spending all your time about, oh, look at Kamala Harris. She's a slightly normal politician. Ooh, that's so scary. Come on. Piers, you're going to ignore the fact that the other guy is totally unhinged and the easiest man in the world to manipulate.
No,
like
I think, listen, we've talked about Trump a lot. I've known, as Anthony and others, I've known Trump nearly 20 years. Yeah. Right? I've spoken to him many times, interviewed him 40 times. I know Trump very, very well. Good, bad, and ugly. And I think he has equal measures of all 3 of those things. But I think that your characterization of him is almost, it's
20 years worth. 20 years worth of build-up, of discharge build-up in the fucking cum deposit that is Piers Morgan's fucking jaw.
Cartoonesque. And in a way that plays
into
Trump.
He is a cartoon character.
Well, maybe, but it plays into Trump's hands when you over-demonize him. You know, when I hear the left in America just ranting away about Trump morning, noon, night, I think you're playing him the wrong way.
Piers, he is that bad. He is that bad.
The orange man is bad. That's why he can never get a majority of the votes.
I want to meet Cenk in the
Piers,
middle.
you know what is? Hold on. One more thing. You guys, you know what you sound like? You sound like Democrats that were saying that Joe Biden is young and dynamic behind the scenes. Guys, we have eyes and ears.
Fuck, that was me. Oh no. It's proportionate. He tried to overthrow democracy. He saluted another military. Bro.
You can see Donald Trump. He's an unhinged man. The only reason you don't think so is because you're so biased that you're like, oh, it's normal to terminate the Constitution or try to murder your vice president.
I want to come to Vinny.
That's not normal.
Hang on. I want to come to Vinny. What I want to say once again.
2 out of 5 people on this panel thought the Joy thing from the Democrats was a Nazi dog whistle. 2 out of 5. I can't get my nut around that. That's 40% of the panel. The what now? Oh, did you guys miss it? Because of the Joy thing from the Kamala Harris campaign, them talking about joy. They said that there was a Nazi slogan about joy building the nation or whatever the fuck. 2 of them said it. He even had a fucking receipt. The JOI campaign. Nice one.
Cenk, you shouldn't misconstrue the fact I've known Trump a long time and say
stop.
I see the good, bad.
This is never a good line of attack, by the way. Never tell someone that they're biased and all that, but never tell someone like what their opinions are in any, because not like this anyway, because they can always just be like, oh, well, you haven't watched all my content. You haven't seen all the times I fought with Trump. Like, it's just like you're always on the back foot because they know them better than you ever will. Like, so yeah, just don't go there. Yeah. Unless you're telling Pierce to take Trump's chode out of his face. Like, that's probably worth saying just for the audience. But Grassroots Hegemon, thanks for the $2. They were talking about the chill Nazis.
You should never misconstrue this for me saying that Americans should vote for him or that I would vote for him or any of those things. You seem to be incapable of assessing the stuff that comes out of my mouth in an accurate way. You want to portray me as a diehard MAGA Republican. I'm not.
No, but your intros to every fucking debate about Trump or the American election reads like a Fox News partisan intro. Like, that's how it reads off. And you also both sides between someone who's like a bit quirky, a bit left wing, you disagree with some of her policies, versus someone who tried to coup the government. Like, fuck, you can't do that. It's not allowed. It's illegal.
People in England listening to this would laugh their heads off. I was editor of the Daily Mirror newspaper for 10 years. Huh?
Did you see your intro? It was 99% negative against Kamala Harris.
Well, no, she wasn't.
Every time I come on here,
exactly my point.
Totally in favor of Donald Trump.
It wasn't, but you didn't listen properly because all you want to hear is Trump bashing. Let me bring in Vinny. Vinny, look, Trump has got a bit of a problem here. There's no doubt the dynamic of this race changed dramatically. I spoke to Trump the night before it changed, which was a week after he got shot. He saw me on Fox saying how it was extraordinary that he was back.
Oh, some people were watching the old stream from behind and catching up. That's why. Damn, 1,500 viewers. Who rated?
On stage at another rally, and we had a perfectly nice conversation. And I said to him, I reckon you've got this election sewn up now because of this assassination attempt. And he went, let me tell you, if I've learned one thing in the last 3 weeks, it's that 4 months is a very long time. Anything could happen. And the next day, Joe Biden quit the race, and all the momentum has been behind Kamala Harris and the Democrats ever since. And I've detected with Trump that he's really struggled to work out how to attack the new threat. What do you think?
Well, I mean, and Cenk made a good point. That establishment, the problem is the establishment. And Donald Trump, and I don't care how angry, how much hate Anthony has for him, because, I mean, Anthony was fired, after 10 days, it sounds like a bitter ex-employee. Cenk has Trump derangement syndrome, whether you like it or not, brother. They hate him. And what people like you don't tend to understand, Cenk, you know what people like you don't understand? Everybody is tired of that BS rhetoric. It's one man going against the establishment for us. And you know what, Piers? It's crazy. You mentioned the president of the ex-president of the United States was shot in the head, okay? And then after a week, nobody was talking about it. The legacy media, mainstream media, 98% of it is Trump is this evil man. And there is a problem, Piers.
I know that I'm not Vosh, so I can't do this, but I'm so tempted to just pretend, because half of you idiots would believe me anyway. I wish I could just pretend that there actually was a common Nazi catchphrase in the Weimar Republic for them to accuse people of having like Hitler neurosis or whatever popular mental illness of the time, right? Like to just dismiss, the beer hall putsch, the anti-Semitism, the brown shirts. Nah, you just got, mate, that's just Hitler neurosis. Don't worry about it. HDS. Isn't that like the delivery people? Okay. It's a true story, I'll just say it, okay? I think you're allowed one bullshit a week, okay? That's my bullshit for this week. I'm going to start telling people that.
Because people are brainwashed into thinking it's all Trump. Because people like me and Emily know, we're thinking even this is bigger than Trump, okay? This is us against that establishment, Cenk, and it's never going to go away. And just to give you a little example, Piers, about how much these people have just hate and disgust for Trump, last Monday, he was at Arlington National Cemetery. Okay, he was invited by Gold Star families, families of soldiers who were murdered in Afghanistan in 2021. They invited him. They wanted photos. Guess what the media said? He's taking it. This is a campaign ploy and all this BS. You know who else was invited? Joe Biden was invited. Kamala Harris was invited, and none of them showed up. Biden was on the beach trying to use his cell phone, and Kamala was in her freaking God knows how many $1 million mansion, okay? Guys, stop. Check this whole Trump talk.
Okay.
We're done with it, okay? And if they didn't cheat, I know we're going to get into Zuckerberg and FBI and Facebook. If they didn't cheat, you guys would be done with him in November. But that system, that same establishment, we're just tired of it. We're tired of that system. And you're right, Piers. There is a problem because when 98% of the media is he's Hitler, he's this, he's evil. What else? FBI, he's going to use the FBI as the Gestapo. Are you freaking nuts? The FBI.
He accused Biden of that. He accused Biden of using the DOJ like a Gestapo. What? Hang on. Do it again. He said that Biden was running a Gestapo administration. Do you know what this was for? This was for people investigating him in Mar-a-Lago for holding on to classified documents and not using the opportunities that they gave him, of which there were many, to give them back, and instead shifting them around. We read the indictment. Box. So many boxes. Gestapo administration. The fuck?
FBI has been used as a Gestapo for the past 7 years against Donald Trump.
Oh,
okay?
He said it as
and
well.
If it happened to him, I'm worried about the future of the Republican Party.
All right,
That's the real talk of the town.
Let me bring in Anthony here. Anthony, if you were running the Democrat campaign right now, you've got a bit of momentum with Kamala Harris, although probably not as much as you might have hoped.
Yeah, you get that war, bro. You need that. You need those electrolytes quick.
Polling from the convention, which was a coronation, really. But if you were looking at the key attack lines against Trump, what would they be? Would they be J.D. Vance? Would they be abortion? Would you play the women side of this strongly? Where do you think he's most vulnerable if you're running a Kamala Harris campaign?
Look, of course, look, he's controlling it. I am a body language expert, okay? And I know someone who's wired when I see it, okay? Because that's what I'm doing right now as well. I'm stopping my jaw from flailing around. It's calmed down a little bit, but when I started stream today, I was actually fucking wired. Like
lines against Trump.
On Vyvanse, not cocaine, but look,
what would they be? Would they be J.D.
Like,
Vance? Would they be abortion? Would you play the women side of this strongly?
Clench there.
Where do you think he's most vulnerable if you're running a Kamala Harris campaign?
Okay, there we go. He's blinking a lot as well. He's got a lot of blinks going on. Yeah, this guy's obviously fucking wired, right? Like, I'm not being mean. He's just, that's his decision. It's a free country for now, but he's wired. Yeah.
Well, I think he's most vulnerable actually on policy, and I think that's going to be her Achilles heel if she doesn't come out and starts speaking about what her policies are and comparing them to his, and she doesn't speak about...
What the fuck is that? Sorry, like, he's not autistic. He doesn't get to use my excuses.
Speaking about what her policies are
again?
And comparing them to
what
his.
Is this? Bro? The guy's fucking, he's done, okay? It also doesn't help that he's red. He's gone...
And she doesn't speak about the 5.7 billion people that are under autocracy right now and what America represents, not only to the people here in the United States and around the world. That's going to be her Achilles heel. But I just want to briefly address what Vinny is saying. I don't hate Donald Trump. I was loyal to him. I got fired. No problem with the firing. I was loyal to him for 2 years after the firing. When he started attacking me personally for absolutely no reason, and then he went after my wife. I mean, Vinny's Italian. I don't know. Not allowed to go after my wife. I'm not Ted Cruz. And so I will work assiduously against him for the rest of my life. I think he's a disaster. But I got to tell you something. 2 years after my firing, I was loyal to the guy. You can go look at the tape. So I'm not a disgruntled employee. I see it for what it exactly is. I understand his systemic danger to the world, and I will sit here and advocate for anybody other than him. And if you guys put up Ron DeSantis, he'd probably be up 50 points right now.
Well, Tony, just really fast. 4 years of Trump, beside personal stuff aside, put that all aside. I get it. I understand. 4 years of that, okay? And then this 4 years of Biden and the Democratic Party. I put all your feelings aside. And by the way, I'm Assyrian. I'm Middle Eastern, but I do look Italian. Thank you. 4 years of Trump, 4 years of this Democratic.
Vinny the Syrian. What is Vinny short for? Vinny. Assyrian. Oh, I thought he said he's Assyrian, like a Syrian. Vincerella. Yeah, what? Okay. I hate this fucking argument as well. Like, oh, do you think things were better for the 4 years under Trump or the 4 years now? Obviously, that's going to depend on your perspective, because obviously things can happen that the president doesn't have control over. There can be different changes in people's personal lives. The fact that like we do live in a more anxious time right now because of the wars that are broken out that are not Biden's fault. You know, other countries do things without getting directed all the time by the United States president. At the end of the day, the reason this guy is more mad now than he was 8 years ago is that's what happens when you take fucking coke every day. Like, his tolerance is built up and he's more fucking grouchy and he's tweaking and he needs to replenish his supply more often. He's more dehydrated. He hasn't had good sleep for ages. Yeah, of course. Of course, this presidency seems worse than the last one.
Rule. Be honest with yourself and be honest with our viewers. Who would you vote for? You would want this past 4 years than Trump's 4 years? Are you kidding? Anthony, put all that.
Like, he might as well be saying, like, I'm sorry, do you want the last 4 years when you've built up a tolerance to this stuff and you're spending more money on it and it's taking a toll on your body? Or do you want to go back to 2016 when you just took it for the first few times to get a boost on your podcast and it gave you a bit of a euphoric boost that you don't feel anymore? Like, he might as well just be saying all this, because that's what's informed his decision, clearly. Like, fuck.
Come on, man.
Anthony,
I'm a lifelong Republican. I'm a center-right Republican. He does not represent that. It's ironic because Cenk and I are on the same side of this thing. Okay, I'm a center-right Republican. Love debating him when we're not dealing with Donald Trump. To his point, Donald Trump is a raving lunatic. He's an extremely dangerous person. You don't want him anywhere near the White House. You've only got two choices. I'm going with Kamala Harris. If you guys want to put up Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley in 2028, I'll return to my party and I'll do anything I can to help them. But I'm not helping this guy because I know how dangerous he is. I know how bad he is. And just to point out, because you guys were talking about North Korea and he has the right to go to North Korea, actually we had a 60-year established policy to curb it. All he did was give the North Korean dictator propaganda reels to play inside and outside of his country for the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Isn't that fucking insane that a guy who would vote for DeSantis is bailing on Trump? That I can't get my head around that. You know, it kind of annoys me sometimes in chat when people are like, "Oh, Mike Pence, the Giga Chad respect to the Constitution." Mike Pence is like a really, really right-wing figure, as far as I remember. Isn't he basically like the key to the evangelical vote? That's why he was vice president. Yeah, like Mike Pence is a fucking, like, he's way off there. Just the fact that he respected the Constitution under a fuck ton of pressure. It's like, you know, again, I don't want to be an entitled. I don't want to be one of those liberals or those leftists, but like, that's the bare minimum, bro. Respecting a constitution of a fucking democracy. Like, but I just find that so weird that someone who would vote for DeSantis over Kamala is going for Kamala over Trump. That's wild. Some Americans really like that constitution, don't they? They really like it.
Okay.
So Vin, I hear you. But I'm going to tell you something, Vin. I'm just looking at.
I do believe in like completely love bombing the fuck out of these conservatives, though. Like these Republicans who don't like Trump are just they're They're honestly, they have so much in their hands. I don't know if there's any polling that suggests this. I'm just saying this because it's a good story, okay? Like, I think if they're the difference between democracy and Trump 2.0, like Trump round 2, like our fate's in their hands. I say our fate because the Middle East will get affected as well. Trump might invade Scotland, okay? Like, it matters to me as well. And also, again, I'll say this for the millionth time. Trump getting into power in 2016 affected the UK as well, because that populist fucking wave was imitated by every other dumb fuck conservative politician in the UK as well. Everyone rode that fucking wave because Boris Johnson came in like on that, like with a very similar aesthetic. Brexit was like a very popular thing. There were loads of politicians who started for the first time ever injecting fucking culture war shit, like conservative MPs going around the fucking bathrooms and like ripping off the gender neutral signs on because they don't like gender neutral bathrooms. Like, and Trump had a part in all of that. Like, he influenced other people. Like, oh, maybe if I try a bit like that, that'll help. Yeah. So it affects everyone, unfortunately. Like, that's the price that you pay for being the biggest, baddest country. And I don't want him setting an example to our politicians, because our politicians are, they're not really that interesting. They're really fucking boring. And if they get inspired by someone like Trump, like, that's going to have an effect on us. It's not good.
Man, he's going after your wife on Twitter. I don't see you as Ted Cruz. And by the way, I'm not Ted Cruz. Okay, I'm an Italian kid from Long Island. Don't go after my wife on Twitter after I gave you $1 million of cash and hundreds of hours of media advocacy. No way, no how.
Okay.
And I won't be handing him to the
election is not about you and
until
your wife.
November 6th.
It's just not.
Let me bring in Emily.
Okay, lovely.
Emily, let me tell you something.
No, the problem is that,
make
again,
the
there's
election
too much
about
emotion.
what you want it to be. I'll make it about what I want it to be.
The election is not about happy, happy, joy, joy. This is our security on the line. This is the future of the United States. Vinny posed a very simple question. This is a bizarre election. We've had 4 years of Donald Trump. It's not his first time. He doesn't need to tell us what he's going to do. We've already seen what he's capable of doing.
We've
seen
lost
the
21 million
stability in our
jobs on his
country,
watch.
the stability in our economy.
Well, that was the
because Biden
pandemic.
did so well fixing that. This is not.
Wait, who said that?
Stability in our economy.
Well, that was the
because Biden
pandemic.
did so well fixing.
Oh, okay. Pierce was able to call the pandemic. Okay, so why? Yeah. Okay, good. Wow, Pierce.
That this is not a joke. Everyone's treating this election like it's Hollywood. They don't understand. We need closed borders. We need controlled spending. We need security. We need laws to become laws again. This lawlessness going around the country and the crime surge is being tolerated. What's happening on college campuses?
And the Venezuelan run apartment blocks. Oh no. Could I convince this person, this Emily, could I convince this person that there are Hamas cells who control buildings in the United States? I don't think it would take much. All you would have to do is get 3 guys, put them in fucking keffiyehs with the uniform with the Palestinian flag on the side, and just let them open carry around an apartment building. Just let them wander around. And I could probably convince her the Hamas, like, the Hamas has like started building fucking bases in American apartment blocks. I think you could do it. And just don't tell her that the cops got called on them and that they got arrested the next day.
It's happening internationally. You guys really sitting here telling me that Kamala Harris is going to be respected by international leaders has me laughing out loud. I'm not what you're saying I am, Cenk. I'm not obsessed with Donald Trump, and I do not hate Kamala Harris. I do not believe she's presidential. Somebody please tell me why I'm wrong. Somebody tell me what policies she will instate that will make this country a better place than where Trump had it before Biden was president. Someone answer that simple question.
Recce clubs.
She's a great woman. I love you, Kamala Harris. Don't run for president.
Okay.
What are you going to answer now?
We're going to bring in a guest briefly and then come back to the panel in a moment.
Ironically, there's the border bill that Trump shot down. Just give them that. Fuck.
First of all, Cenk, let me ask you. It's an interesting point about Kamala Harris. I know what Trump stands for. You know, his messaging, he's a very skilled marketer. We know he's about build the wall, make America great, all these other things. He rattles off his greatest hits at every rally. I'm really not sure what Kamala Harris stands for. And after that interview with CNN, and it's no fault of Dana Bash, who I used to work with, I've got great respect for her as a journalist. It's not her fault, but...
You know who actually... Someone did this, and it's a shame there aren't more people doing it. Remember when Kyle Kulinski rattled off all those Democrat policies to Brianna Joy Gray, and then she cried and shot herself? That was really funny. Does anyone have that clip? I feel like more people need to know. I feel like more people need to know about the things that this Democrat administration has done. We know, like, the CHIPS Act and the infrastructure, and the, like, at a state level, you've got the breakfast clubs and the availability of over-the-counter contraceptions and all this kind of, like, we've got all this shit, but I feel like you just don't hear it. It's not become a kind of like soundbite that's just echoing in your head, like in the same way as what the Republicans do, right? We all know that joy is apparently Nazi shit now, or that, like, the Republicans have made a whole thing about joy, union support. Yeah, why is there not just like an easily accessible, just like off the top of everyone's head, the breakfast clubs, right? Or infrastructure, or the CHIPS Act? What? Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, where's the Kulinski? Joy Gray. There was that whole fucking rant that he did, and it was so good. Where is it? Do I just watch the whole thing? Maybe. It was pretty spice. Is it this one? I know what to look for. I'll get it. No, this is a fucking... I hate these commentary channels that don't look like commentary channels. When you're gonna... Hang on. When you're gonna do this shit... When you're gonna do this shit, and Kyle and Crystal, heated debate, and it's just the picture of the three of them, that looks like the actual debate, but it's full of fucking commentary. I hate this. I hate it so much. It was that guy. Who's the guy that always used to do that? The progressive voice. He always used to have these videos that was like, I just want to get the clip. And it's like a 30-second clip after 4 minutes of them talking, and then another 10 minutes of them talking afterwards. I'm like, fuck. Where is it's here. Right? This is where they debate. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Last week, I had the real pleasure of sitting down with Crystal Ball and Kyle Kulinski to discuss whether Americans really do...
Wait, is this not it? Is this a... No! Okay. All right, come on. Come on. Is it this?
Crystal had an interesting conversation.
Oh my God, it's
with
commentary.
Rihanna.
Surely. Okay. Is it not this one? Is this not the whole... What the fuck? Is it here? He does the little fucking ramble.
More effective in actually changing the outcomes
because of the structural barriers, Bree,
than Cornel West. And that's more than
choice voting.
Can I
answer it? It's a simple question.
Where's the ramble? Fuck me, I'm never gonna find it.
But when he...
Oh, okay.
Kamala Harris didn't lay out any plan for the country. And if I was a Democrat, I'd be really worried about what's going to happen at the debate if it gets into the meat and drink of policy.
I literally don't understand you guys. So Kamala Harris is the most normal politician of my lifetime. Like, and you guys keep saying, like, look at her, she's so weak, she's so this, she's so.
What does she
I don't
stand
see
for,
any
Chet?
of that.
What does she stand for?
What does she stand for?
Yeah, check.
And
They
you guys
can't
talking
answer
about,
the question.
Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Can
Give me
I
3
answer?
things she
Okay.
stands for.
So, yes.
She's saying, we got
she's
it, she's
announced
saying.
them. Okay. So number one, she talked about housing, which is a huge issue in this country.
Yeah, housing,
if
yeah.
you block the private equity guys from buying our homes, that would be a massive gain for the American people. What's Donald Trump's housing policy? He says, oh, drill, baby, drill. That has nothing to do with housing. He's such a moron. Okay, then you talk about the prices were out of control. She says, hey, we should have a check on that. That is your grocery store, your gas, etc. Things that matter in your life. She at least has a policy. What's Trump's policy? I'm going to give corporations another tax cut. Well, listen, you were in office for 4 years, to Vinny's point. And what did you do? You didn't even build a wall. You built like 30 feet of wall. He remembered it at the last second. The main thing he did was he took corporate tax rates from 35% to 21%. He gave trillions of dollars to his corporate donors. The problem with the establishment is that they work for those donors. Well, how about Trump? He says, Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson, I'll just give you U.S. foreign policy on Israel, and you said it, and he brags about it. He says, oil companies, I'll let you set oil policy. He is so both system.
Is it here? I don't know. But
In terms of how is the guy wrong? But then he gets in office and he does all these things which shock me. He massively reduced the drone war by over 90%. He, like I said, pulled out of Afghanistan. The Supreme Court overturned the EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gas emissions. And the Democrats slipped into the IRA a provision that redefines carbon as a pollutant, which then allows the EPA to start protecting the environment again. If we didn't get that, and yes, that was brought to us by Democrats, we would be beyond fucked on the issue of climate change. We still are, but we'd be even more fucked if the EPA couldn't do basic EPA stuff. We have project labor agreements for hundreds of thousands of construction workers. That came to us from Biden. $15 minimum wage for federal contractors and employees. That's from Biden. Gun reform with red flag laws and closing the boyfriend loophole. Those are definitely good things. Ketanji Brown Jackson on the court. A George Floyd executive order to create a registry of abusive cops. We have the PACT Act, which is healthcare for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits, which every single Republican voted against. He added 800,000 manufacturing jobs. I didn't expect any of these things. So when I talk about Biden the way I do, is because none of these things were on the menu and we got them. So now when I look at the fact it's either going to be Trump or Biden, a standard generic Republican or standard generic Democrat, the way I feel now versus the way I felt in the past is like, oh, this is definitely way better. If you asked me in 2019 or 2020, I'd be like, I don't know, man, flip a coin. 52% maybe a Democrat's a little bit better than a Republican. Now I'm looking at it like, it's not even close. One blows the other out of the water, and all I care about is the policy. And when we have all these policies, I mean, we have a 15% corporate minimum tax rate now. That is not something we had previously. You'd have corporations paying nothing in taxes, or they'd even get a negative tax rate, which is a subsidy effectively from the taxpayers. These things are not nothing. We have a 1% tax on stock buybacks. They're cracking down on wealthy
John
tax
Morris
cheats.
in
Like all
chat.
these things
Oh,
are very
no.
good. They're objectively good. So do you agree that Biden is better than what we expected on the left?
Maybe you've already said that your expectations
God
on the ground, and it seems like he's surpassed your expectations. He has not surpassed mine. I don't know what
I
you
don't think that was the only time he did that. He did another ramble as well. That was like the second one. That was when she was already dead.
want me to say.
But he's
about
not better
that.
than what you thought?
No,
That's an honest
he's not
question.
better than what I thought he would.
Really?
No.
So you expected to be better than I did, for sure.
Well, I expected him to. Well, I didn't really expect him to fulfill his campaign promises, but I'm not going to pat him on the back when he so flagrantly lied about them. No.
Hey guys, if you like that video,
Wow.
go to breakingpoints.com. The best independent.
My audio just went absolutely fucking ballistic. What the fuck happened there? What the? Okay, it's back. It's fine. It's fine. What? That was weird. I don't know what happened. But it's okay. Jesus. Okay. I have noticed that my my virtual keyboard isn't working, even though it is registering on the screen. So that's a new problem. Oh. There's like a velocity thing. Oh, there we go. It was just being weird. No, that's there, isn't it? It's a bit loud. Huh. Okay. Huh. Sorry, I just... When are you coming to Latvia? I've already been to Latvia. I just... My brain just went so many places when someone in chat said that Kyle rant was an Aaron Sorkin moment. Oh, God. It's so goofy. An Aaron Sorkin moment. That Aaron Sorkin scene, I don't know, it just broke people's brains, didn't it? Because I remember it's this. I remember all over fucking Facebook, because it was a Facebook thing, that this just got spread by the most vapid dickhead people. When the blonde sorority girl, who's probably like 20 years old, asks this panel of journalists and politicians, whatever, about why America's the greatest country on earth.
America is the greatest country in the world.
Diversity and opportunity.
You know, and they give all their little answers and everything. And then this guy, obviously the hero, comes in and he's like, I'll tell you what, I don't think America's the greatest country on earth. Why? What do you think we're the greatest country on earth, huh? Look at us. We're fucking 46 in math. We're 76 in literacy. We're 193rd in infant mortality. We're 217th in disparities between the rich and the poor. What the fuck are you talking about? America's the greatest country on earth. You know what America's good at? You fucking dumb, blonde, sorority fucking bitch. You know what? We're good at fucking drug deaths, incarcerating black people, and starting wars, military expenditure per capita, period. Fuck. So maybe the next time you go fucking take the fucking captain of the football's dick out of your mouth, you dumb fucking slut bitch, maybe remember that America's not the greatest country on earth. Blech. And then the whole room's quiet. The whole room's fucking quiet, okay? And then he just looks down, and there's probably some fucking music in the background, like some really emotional, like... And he's just like, we sure used to be. Sure used to be the greatest country on earth. And even though he's just behaved like an absolute fucking cunt in front of this room, no one's saying anything. No one's booing him or freaking out. They're all just like, wow, this guy, yeah. This guy who's just humiliated me in front of an entire room full of people, I'm going to sit there and listen to him, okay? Let's go, okay? We sure used to be the greatest country on earth. Yeah. Back in 1943, our kids were playing with wooden toys. We had Jim Crow laws. No women in the workplace. Apart from when we took them into the factories for the war. You know, back then we waged war against those Vietnamese and their Ching Chang Chongs. We used to terrorize those civilians. These days, all we do is terrorize Arabs. Goddamn. Gives me no joy to say. America's not the greatest country in the world. And then after this whole scene, like later on, the blonde sorority girl, after he's just completely mogged her in front of this entire crowd, like she goes to him and asks him for a job. Because that's what would happen. Bro. Banger. Jeff Newsroom. Facts. Okay. The YouTube video was called, was it? The most honest 3 minutes in television history. Okay. Okay. Most honest, you can smell the farts through the screen. Yeah. Yeah.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has defended himself against accusations he's blocking a hostage deal with Hamas. This comes as protesters in Israel took to the streets for a second consecutive night. The latest mass demonstration sparked by the killing of 6 hostages in Gaza who were shot by their captors as Israeli forces approached. Protesters are demanding their government make a deal to free the captives still held by Hamas. Netanyahu apologized to the families of the 6 captives found dead, but he insisted he would press on with Israel's military campaign in Gaza and keep control of strategic territory. Our Middle East analyst Shani Rosanas has more on this. So Netanyahu says he's sorry, but it doesn't sound like he's budging on anything.
Well, correct. I mean, it did, seem like yesterday was him just trying to find more justifications and basically explain to the Israelis where he stands and why he stands where he is. And in that aspect, why he's refusing to go ahead with the deal as much as, the pressure on the street is going. Netanyahu is very clearly not aiming to wind this down or to go to any cessation of hostilities or the fire anytime soon. And he's trying to explain why that's the case. And so anybody who was hoping that the pressure of the public would be the one bringing Netanyahu to shift his position saw yesterday a very defiant prime minister trying to actually gain support for an action that is quite the opposite of what we see from the streets demand.
And one of those sticking points is this 14-kilometre buffer zone along the Egyptian-Gazan border, the Philadelphia corridor, which the Israelis want to hold on to in order to have some sort of control over the Gaza Strip.
Right.
Is this basically just because they found a shitload of ways in between Egypt and Gaza, lots of smuggling routes, and they're like, we don't trust Egypt to... What's this? Is Spider already on it? Next time you go fucking take the fucking captain of the football's dick out of your mouth, you dumb fucking slut bitch. Maybe remember that America's not the great. I think you probably get that. That'd probably make a good clip with the fucking with the newsroom scene in the background.
One of his aims or one of Israel's aims?
Well, that border we're talking about, the Philadelphia corridor, that's exactly the only way for Gaza outside, the only border that is not with Israel, but rather with Egypt. Netanyahu claims, and we saw a whole presentation last night, that this is the only way to make sure that Hamas does not regain power, get more ammunition through, smuggled through the border. But then a lot of, if you talk to the defense minister or any other leading members of the defense mechanism in Israel, they say this is not the case. Israel can always take Philadelphia corridor again if needed. And also they point to the fact that it's taken Israel about 8 months deep into the war in Gaza before it even reached that part. So they say, if this is such a vital part of the war, how come it wasn't one of our first targets? Sort of trying to talk about Netanyahu's attempt to use the Philadelphia corridor as an excuse not to go on with the deal, rather than actually a sticking point that is that meaningful. And this is the deep rift we are seeing between Netanyahu and, the more professional, leaders of the war in the military, and this deep rift is such that they cannot do anything that Netanyahu does not want to do. You see the public hearing them, and this is where you see the big distrust, on the streets. People do not trust Netanyahu because they hear so many other people say this does not have to be the case.
And time is running out for the remaining hostages. Just how desperate are those people on the streets, the Israelis, when it comes to getting some sort of deal, finishing this war, in comparison to the desperation among Palestinians to see some sort of end?
If you look at polling numbers, most of Israelis support a deal, including everything that it will take, like giving up the control over Philadelphia corridor, like releasing lots of mass murderers, that have been, captured by Israel, kept in Israeli prisoners. Many do support that, but not Netanyahu's base. And this is exactly what we're seeing. He's catering to his base. He still has very strong support in his coalition. And that's what drives his decisions right now. As long as he doesn't have any threat from his coalition, I doubt we will see Netanyahu changing his stand on this. And if you talk about Palestinians, I also talk to colleagues and friends there, the desperation, the frustration, the sadness, it's endless. I was talking to some of them in the last days. They were hoping that what's happening on the streets in Israel will bring to a change, but obviously it's always hard to break their hearts saying we are not there yet. And what we're seeing, the Americans focusing more and more on the campaign there, the election campaign of, Biden trying to support Harris, Gaza becomes a more minor topic for the world's arena for international attention, and they feel being left behind, maybe rightfully so. And unfortunately, we don't see where any of the sides, we need to keep in mind we also have Hamas here, and they don't seem to be too eager on going for a deal as well. The people, on both sides in Palestine and Israel might be somewhere else than where the leaders are, and we don't see any solution coming in the next, couple of months, weeks ahead of us, unfortunately.
Doesn't sound good at all. And I find it interesting that you say that Netanyahu is pandering to his base, but, is that going to secure him a future?
Well, it does. So far, it does. He doesn't have any threat to his reign. There's nothing right now that makes Netanyahu feel that he needs to go to election anytime before the set date in 3 years. Yeah. So far, he's holding strong.
Wow. Shani, thank you very much for the analysis. Interesting stuff.
You're welcome.
Interesting analysis. Okay, listen, I was only going to stream for 4 hours today, and I got hyped up. But I am definitely med crashing right now. Whoa. I need some of whatever Vinny's got. I take back everything I said about Vinny, if I can just get a bump. Okay. It was good, though. I thought that was a good little stream, you guys. Thanks for sticking around through it. I'm gonna send you off to No Justice, I think. Just remember, though. Just remember. America's not the greatest country in the world no more. I haven't even nuked any Japanese people this century. Used to put our opponents in concentration camps. Now, all we use is those damn detention facilities. My oh my. Said goddamn. All right. Okay. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.